One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Welcome, everybody, to what is about to be a very, very busy, explosive week of news, especially surrounding Trump world. A lot of stuff going on. Most importantly, we're going to find out how close we get to the deadline of the government shutdown to see if they actually go through it this time. So we're going to spend a good amount of time prior to the press conference talking about the government shutdown. Just some housekeeping today. There will be no second show. Sorry, still getting things together, but I'll be honest. I'm going down to Monday Night Football to watch the Dolphins play. So Robin and I will be preoccupied tonight. The game starts at 7:15, so can't do an evening show. But today on tap, you guys saw a video I put out earlier, and people said they loved the backdrop, so I love that. And people said, is that the new studio? It's one of them. You see, there's going to be a nighttime studio, and then there's going to be a new daytime studio, in addition to this one, so that I can run multiple feeds of content simultaneously. Some going to be hosted, and some of them won't be hosted. Sometimes I will be here, sometimes I won't. I can just do it automatically. So we'll be doing all kinds of different things. So I'll be testing those different backgrounds on that third studio, which will mostly be used early in the morning or late in the evening. That way, it's basically a green screen studio. So I can change the background to anything I want on a click of a button. And we're just testing it right now. So it worked pretty good this morning. But about that video I put out this morning, I have to explain because I got a whole bunch of emails from people and some stupid stuff on X. And I want to show you, I put it as one of the first things in the show notes today. In case you haven't seen the video, I see I got to do something with the lighting so I look a little bit green. But that's the video I put up. I said, join me at noon. And the video basically says, we're not going to accept any sort of crazy, conspiratorial, hate-filled, insulting chats about Israel today. The mods have already been, they've talked. It's going to be zero tolerance, bam. Not a timeout, a bam, gone. And the reason why it's going to be an immediate ban is because you're getting forewarning. We're telling you right now, keep your crazy stuff to yourself. We don't want to hear it. And I got this comment, and I want to show it to you she posted her name so I can post it. Why are you telling people how to act about something as sensitive as Israel? Between IPAC compromised representative and Kirk's assassination, there is a whole lot of dislike out there. And I told her, and I will tell you, you can say whatever you want, but we here choose not to listen. And she kept coming back. That's a closed mind, no discourse. The rabbit hole is very convoluted, blah, 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 blah. Here's the point. And it should be very simple. And I was hoping some people, as they responded and said some craziness, I was hoping proper decorum and sensibility would take over. But it didn't. People just kept saying stuff. This lady came in and said, why are you censoring people like YouTube censors you? As long as we're respectful, why can't we voice an opinion? Let me explain to you why. YouTube censors words. I can't say the word for baby removal. I can't say the word for, some of the things, newcomers. Ideology is completely different. And here's where there's a line between your so-called opinion and somebody else's religion. I am pretty sure there are lots of Christians here who watch our channel, a lot of Christians who embrace Israel, and there's probably quite a few Jewish people who embrace Israel. I am not going to condone comments that insult a certain person's religion. I wouldn't let people talk down about Mormons. It's not going to happen. It would almost be as if people came in here and called, the N-word. Oh, I can't say what I want? Nope, you can't. And now you absolutely know it. So if you've got something nasty to say about Israel, which is, yes, your prerogative, you can have that perspective if you choose to, just don't do it here or it'll be the last time you'll be here. Sorry, that's just how it's going to be. The other thing I want to address before we begin is all of this about Bad Bunny. And I got all kinds of people hitting me up. You're going to talk about the Bad Bunny thing? And I'm like, no. And now I am. No, I don't care. You shouldn't care. If you don't like Bad Bunny, you got a clicker. Turn off. Chill. There's much, much more important stuff this week to be talking about instead of Bad Bunny. What the hell is wrong with people? We're about to go through a government shutdown. We've got cities on fire. We've had a mass shooting yesterday, and people got their panties all in a bunch about Bad friggin' Bunny. I don't care. When I watch football, I actually watch football. My wife can't stand to sit next to me because I'm calling plays. I'm going to go, look what happened here. And I rewind it, and she's like, your boys ain't here. Your grandson's not here. I'm just sitting here trying to watch the game, and you're here analyzing it like you're, Pat Summerall or John Madden. Okay, right here, he's going to do a hook. When he does that, I watch the game. I am a fan of the game. I don't care about Bad Bunny. Most of the time during halftime, I'm out going to the bathroom, putting something else on the grill, doing something. I don't care. Or if I want, I can turn on YouTube and watch any band play that I want for 30 minutes. Chill. I mean, absolutely chill. Everybody's freaking out about Bad Bunny. So it worked. It worked. Y'all talking about Bad Bunny instead of talking about what matters. I got some homework for you. Go look up the term bread and circuses. If you're not familiar with the term bread and circuses, open up Google or Grok or Perplexity, any one of them, and dig into that. Understand what bread and circuses are, and as you're reading it, you're like, yeah, that's me. That's me. I won't give away the definition right now because I don't want people to to start going with it. But look up bread and circuses, and as soon as you read it, think to yourself, yeah, is that me? Am I doing that? Because that's what you are. You're taking your eye off the focus of what it should be focused on, and on crap like that. Absolutely. It's insane. And furthermore, if you want to think about it, the decision wasn't made by the NFL owners. I mean, their average age is probably older than me, probably older than you. I bet it's 70 plus, the average owner. It was made by the marketing geniuses who are a bunch, and having worked in advertising, I can tell you, it was made by a bunch of 30-somethings sitting in a room at Jay-Z's company saying, who could we use? What can we do to really push the envelope and freak people out? And so they picked Bad Bunny. They want to rile you up. It worked. Forget it. It's going to work. The NFL wants to broaden their audience. They don't want to shrink it. They don't want to deal with any of this woke stuff anymore. There was marketing that they put in place. Now they got to deal with it. And years ago, it was decided that the NFL halftime show was just a gimmick to bring new eyeballs to the screen. Started off with the Stones and Paul McCartney and, Aerosmith, Creed. And they're like, we need to bring in some younger people. We need to bring in some women. And it turned into some farcical thing that it is right now. Absolutely lip sync crap. I'll tune in when they bring out, somebody who wants to hit the fender and actually play music again. But don't rush to decisions so quickly. Pump your brakes, see what happens, and just sit back. On everything. Never jump to conclusions in this kind of a news cycle. That's what they want you to do. That's how the algorithms are put together. So people would just rush in. The smarter person prevails by just waiting. Because here's what's going to most likely happen. You see, all the NFL owners were busy watching their teams yesterday. Watch over the next month and a half, when the NFL marketing people have to start answering to some of these owners. And the owners don't want this crap. I think it is by no coincidence, because they hate Trump, these young 30-year-old marketing people, that they chose a 31-year-old Puerto Rican light-nut loafers guy who's a favorite of the Transformer community to perform at the Super Bowl being played in all places, San Francisco. So they said to themselves, how can we make the people of San Francisco be happy about, the Super Bowl? Oh, let's go ahead and put some trans-friendly people there. But just watch. These people, they're good takers of polls and things of that nature. Because now they know this is the opposite of what the NFL is attempting to do in order to climb themselves out of this woke hole that they dug themselves before. They don't want to jump back in it. The popularity is at an all-time high. They're making money. They don't want to piss off their clientele. So I'm like, just pump your brakes. Let the Jerry Joneses of the world take a look at this. Let the Rooneys of the world take a look at this and go, that ain't happening, Roger. The ixnay on the ixnay. If it affects people's bottom line, they change their mind. And thus, that's what you can do. You don't have to worry about bitching to me or your friend or, oh my God, look what... No. Jerry Jones, what the hell are you thinking? Jerry Jones, hey, Rooney, every one of these teams, hit them hard. No, we don't watch it. We don't want it. But that's if you even care. Otherwise, just ignore it. Just ignore it and just say, they're idiots. They're... Watch a game. I'm going to go down to the Hard Rock tonight. And we're not sure if the part of that hurricane is going to hit and it's going to be rainy. It doesn't matter. I told Robin, just bring a poncho or something. Sit down, let the air conditioning feel good, and eat some food and enjoy ourselves. Unplug for a couple hours. I'm not there to have a moral lesson taught to me. And I'm not here today to have a moral lesson taught to me. I'm here to show you what President Trump is doing and how he's going to be talking to Bibi Netanyahu. And if you have opinions, by all means, feel free to voice them. But if you have insults and denigrations to the Jewish people, that's going to get you booted. If you say, I don't like the way they're handling Gaza and stuff like that, that's fine. But if you start talking negatively about an entire subsection of people, let me just say goodbye right now, because you ain't going to be here. That being said, let's talk about a couple things that President Trump dropped earlier today. Where is it? Let me get this window up, because he's been busy this morning before Bibi got here, or some of these might have been last night. In order to make North Carolina, which has completely lost its furniture business to China and other countries, great again, I will be imposing substantial tariffs on any country that does not make its furniture in the United States. Details to follow, President Donald J. Trump. So if you don't know, there's a hotbed of furniture manufacturing that has taken place in North Carolina. If you haven't been there, I mean, it's some amazing craftsmanship, great wood type furniture. It's very, very good, and they've been getting killed because of China and people importing crap from, Temu and everything else. And President Trump came out this morning, was this morning? Yeah, at 9:04, and said, nope, not going to happen. You're going to have to buy from American manufacturers, which I don't have a problem with, and nobody else should have a problem with. We should be supporting American businesses. And in regards to supporting American businesses, our movie-making business has been stolen from the United States of America by other countries, just like stealing candy from a baby. California, with its weak and incompetent governor, has been particularly hard hit. Therefore, in order to solve this long-time, never-ending problem, I will be imposing a 100% tariff on any and all movies that are made outside the United States. Thanks you for your attention to this matter. Robin and I just went to a movie, yesterday was Saturday night. We went to see Downton Abbey, which kept me awake. It was actually pretty interesting. Obviously, the entire movie was made in England, or appeared to be, in castles and everything else. So that movie, in order for it to be played here, is going to incur 100% tariff, meaning the price could actually double for a movie like Downton Abbey. Make it here, or don't, or pay the price. Now, there's certain movies, especially historical timepieces, I don't know how you could recreate Downton Abbey here. I guess you could build a faux castle and have it on a set. You could do that. Like they didn't always do movies on location. They used to do them on sets. But nonetheless, that's going to be a producer's choice. If you choose to make a movie in XYZ country because you think it's cheaper, because it is, now you're going to have to pay 100% tariff. Period. This is one of those bread and circuses moment. If most of you don't go see movies, then don't worry about it. If you go to a movie and you understand it's made in India or it's made in England and you have to pay more, now you know why. Don't bitch at the theater. The theater's doing what it can to make their money. They're having to bring this movie in, and maybe that's what'll happen. Maybe theater chains will start saying, nope, can't do it. It better be an absolute blockbuster if we're going to bring in a movie that's filmed overseas, because it'll be interesting to see who wants to pay the 100% tariff. Is it going to be pushed on to the theaters? Don't even try and push it on to the public. Nobody's going to pay $25 to see a movie. So to me, that would be a big incentive for Hollywood if they truly want to be Hollywood like they used to be. Number one, start making movies people want to see. Number two, make your movies in America. And I think that's why some of these studios like Angel Studios and the things that they're doing, and Kevin Sorbo, who we interviewed about a month or so ago. And then down here, there's a burgeoning studio activity happening with Sylvester Stallone and some other people, so where they can just make their movies here. I don't have a problem with it. Again, this is something that's subjective, and if you care, you care, and if you don't, you shrug your shoulders. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. He then went on to say this, and this one you should care about. This one is pretty big. Self-proclaimed New York City communist Zoran Mamdani, who is running for mayor, who's likely to win, will prove to be one of the best things to ever happen to the great Republican Party. He's going to have problems with Washington like no mayor in the history of our once great city. Remember, he needs the money from me. As president, in order to fulfill all of his fake communist promises, he won't be getting any of it. So what's the point of voting for him? This ideology has failed always for thousands of years. It will fail again, and that's guaranteed. Well, he's absolutely right. I put up a not fake, but a tongue-in-cheek post the other day, and I basically just said, hey, if you're in New York, you need to get out, and you want to come down to Florida, hit me up. That was the cheapest advertising I ever did. I could not believe I got 4 leads out of that one X post. And I'm like, serious? Did that just really work? You people want to get out that bad? And I said, and you better have cash. We're not waiting for any mortgages down here. If you think people in some of these areas where they're really hot, good properties want to wait till you get qualified, that ain't going to happen. You better have cash when you put the offer in, and you better close in like 30 days. And pretty much I told people that, and they're like, okay, so what's the price range? And it's so funny because people in New York who have been paying $1 million for what amounts to a closet, and you tell them for $1 million, I can get you a 4 or 5 bedroom house with 3,000 square feet and a pool. They're like, you're kidding me. No. I'll get you a stately house for what you're paying for a condo in Cement City. Get rid of the communists, head to the free state of Florida, and live your best life. It's simply amazing how they responded. I could not even believe it. Next story I want to bring to you as we're waiting for President Trump and Bibi to come out. And this was really interesting. SV brought this to my attention. How many of you out there are gamers? Doesn't matter how old you are you a gamer? I'm a gamer. I only play 2, but I'm a gamer. I play NCAA football, and I play NFL, Madden football, when I have the time. So I'm a gamer, and both those games are made by EA Sports. Well, this is huge. I gotta find it. Did I close it? 1 second here. Boy. See, I'm sitting here closing windows and opening windows instead of making sure that I kept it open. 1 second. I hate when I do that. I hate when I close the windows and they're in here. All right, so this is big for some of you who may be gamers, but may not be gamers. And here's what I want to talk to you about. EA, Electronic Arts, taken private in $55 billion mega deal, the largest buyout in history. Electronic Arts, maker of Battlefield and FIFA, I play NFL, Madden, and NCAA Sports, is going private in the biggest leverage buyout ever, $55 billion. The buyers are Saudi Arabia's foreign fund Silver Lake and Jared Kushner's affinity partners. Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of Donald J. Trump. Shareholders get $210 a share, but some analysts say EA is worth way more, especially with Battlefield 6 on deck. The deal leans on $20 billion in debt financing from J.P. Morgan, making one of Wall Street's boldest bets on gaming ever. So just understand that. There is now, Jared Kushner and the Saudis are putting together a $55 billion deal to fund and operate Electronic Arts. That's huge. Now, as you would imagine, not just the NFL and college games that I play, but the whole other roster of games that they have, it reaches a whole lot of lib nuts. A whole lot of the libtards who are going bat poop crazy this morning, understanding that the games that they love best, probably Grand Theft Auto, all the crazy games, all those third role player games will now be owned by Jared Kushner and the Saudis. Heads exploding everywhere. I'm sorry. We're going to find out more about that as we go. SV is setting me up with somebody who may know a little bit more on the inside of that deal and see if we can't get a interview with them, because that could be amazing. Hey, let me tell you really quick here and segue into like investing. Don't worry, not going to piss everybody off with a whole bunch of news about investing. But America's premier crypto trading platform, crypto.com. You might want to take a look into this if you're at all interested in crypto. I mean, it's growing, and it's growing in leaps and bounds. And I put the wrong screen up. Where did my screen go? Oh no. Oh, there it is. Okay. There's my screen. Whew. Sometimes you're hitting buttons, you realize you hit the wrong doggone button. But anyway, let's be clear. Cryptocurrency is no longer emerging. It's here, and this latest move cements that reality in a big way. Trump Media just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Yorkville Acquisition Corp and Crypto.com, the crypto platform trusted by millions of users worldwide. They're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO, the powerhouse that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards and real-world perks like a cashback on your spends, to establish America's first CRO treasury. And if you go to the crypto.com website, they've got a big banner here where you can click here and find out more information on what this deal is all about. The Trump Media Group and CRO strategy, when it's done, will be the biggest publicly traded CRO holder out there. Want in on this action? Head to crypto.com today and let's make crypto great again. For more information on the proposed business combination, check out Yorkville Acquisition Corp's public filings. But if you come here to crypto.com, you can see it's a Trump Media Group CRO strategy. This is a lot different than most of the stuff that I show you. This is actually a Trump deal. You can find out about it and actually get involved in it. All you got to do is come to crypto.com, scroll down till you see this billboard where it says Trump Media Group CRO strategy, and you can either buy or you just want to get more information, you can tap there. And here is the entire information on the deal and how it's going to be funded and everything else, who's involved. All the information is right there for you to see on your own. Crypto.com, just scroll down till you see the big banner that says the Trump Media Group. Big money. So in the last two deals, $55 billion for EA, $6.5 billion for their crypto incursion. Lots of money lots of money changing hands. And again, I promised I only will do the financial stuff once in a while, but you have to see this. This stuff is, people see all this stuff on X, they're like, is your life really changing? If your life isn't changing in the last 9 months, you're not doing it right. There is so much opportunity out there. And I'm not saying real estate, and I'm not saying gold and silver, and I'm not saying crypto, and I'm not saying buying, but you have so much opportunity. It's like a menu in front of you right now. And I keep seeing these idiots on X go, they can't make any money. Well, Trump has ruined my life. And I'm like, Trump is opening. Do you know what I can't even tell you. Something else I'm going to show you after the break here that he's doing that just blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. And it should blow you guys away as well, because depending on where you are in life, let me just find this. Maybe I can jump to it real quick here. where is it? 1 second. Since we are talking about money for you, many of you may not know this, and this is absolutely okay. Here it is. How many of you knew this? Wait till you see this here. Trump wants to take away taxes on selling your house. He says getting rid of capital gains tax could be a very big positive and a great incentive for a lot of people who really need money. Translation: if you sell your house, you can keep way more cash instead of handing it over to the IRS. Sounds less like policy talk and more like ultimate get-rich-quick cheat code. Boom! There's so many people who are cash poor and equity rich, and they can't afford to sell the house because the capital gains tax would eat them up. Can you imagine there being no capital gains tax? Or limited capital gains tax? What would happen to the entirety of the economy? If you got a $200,000 house that you bought in, 1985, and that house is now worth $500,000, and you got a $300,000 equity cushion, and you're like, I can't sell it because they're going to make me pay 30% on that 300 grand capital gains that I got. And now you wouldn't have to pay. You'd save probably $80,000 to $100,000. That's just off the top of my head math. So when people keep saying there's nothing out there for them, things aren't getting better, you're not looking. Seriously, you're not looking. There's so many ways, and that's all I'm going to go today, because people don't like when I talk about money. Oh my gosh. But that was from before. All right, I'm gonna take a break and then we'll take some comments.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so it's 12:30. Still got about 30 minutes before he comes on, so we got a bunch of stuff we can get to. All right, saw this comment by Kathy. Kathy says, Barry, I'm not a complainer, but all four of my kids are struggling. All four. Okay. So hard dealing with high grocery, gas, land tax. Does that say land tax? Land tax and insurance going up 100%. Let me just stop you there. Where in the hell do you live that your taxes went up 100%? I think that's what you're not talking about. Gas didn't go up 100%. Groceries didn't go up 100%. So you're saying your insurance went up 100%. How? When you leave a comment like that, it makes me struggle, because I'm like, how? How did your insurance go up 100%? Because I'm guarantee you groceries and your gas didn't go up 100%. And then I don't know where you live, so I don't know how you could say your groceries are high. I mean, I live in probably one of the most expensive areas of the country, and our gas and our groceries have gone down. So it's hard for me to understand. I talked to other friends of mine who don't live in Boca Raton, Florida, and I'm like, yeah, our gas has gone down and our groceries have gone down. So it's kind of hard to understand. And they are so mad at Trump. So you're not going to like what I'm going to say. Because what I'm going to say is, one, I can't believe those other things are true. Number two, you didn't mention anything about their income. See, that's the side of the coin a lot of people don't like to examine. Well, the cost of this is too high, and the cost of that is too high, and the cost of this is too high. Well, what's your income? What are you doing to fix that? Why isn't it, hey, listen, I'm not making as much money as I need to survive and do the things I'd like to do. Perhaps I should look at doing something that will pay me more. And start planning for the future instead of going, oh, it sucks, Trump's not doing anything. What's he supposed to do? He's supposed to open the door and give you opportunities. He's not supposed to go to the grocery store and say, you got to lower these prices. He's not supposed to go to the gas people and say, you got to lower your gas. That's going to happen as we drill more. But you can't, it's not Santa Claus. A president isn't your personal Santa Claus. Hey, make this happen. Because the part that you should be hoping he makes happen is, how do I make more money? And that exactly has happened. And so I'm not bitching at you or complaining. I'm saying people got to change their focus. Understand the stuff that he has the ability to control is where your opportunity lies. Your opportunity is, hey, I can do this now? Yeah. And I don't have all this regulation? Yeah. So I can maybe, I don't know, do something better that pays more? Again, watching that puck. That puck drops here, but it's heading over there. And I just showed you that somebody just did, Jared Kushner, $55 billion with EA. I just showed you that his own media company is doing a $6 billion deal with crypto. Do you know anything about those two things? Anything about AI? I watched the video today. This has nothing to do with Kathy. I watched the video, actually it was yesterday. And in the video, the people were complaining because the CEO of Starbucks makes $100 million a year, has his own private jet, and they were saying he's not paying us. And immediately, when they were saying it's not fair, because the guy who on the video was saying it's not fair because all he cares about is his investors' money. Which told me as soon as he said that, you have no idea about business. He gets paid $100 million as long as he continues making his investors money. And part of him making his investors money is to make sure his labor costs are lower. He's not in business to say, hey, listen, I know these nose ring wearing blue-haired kids want more money. I should just give them more money. You guys okay with that, you shareholders? Oh. No, they said, you get $8 an hour. Shut up and take it. But they never talk about that. And I was telling Robin yesterday, it's so weird to me how they know exactly how much money the CEO from Starbucks is making. Exactly how much. You look it up, right? And they also know that he has a private jet. I have yet to see one of these nose ring wearing blue-haired kids post anything on X saying Taylor Swift's tickets are too expensive. Oh, you don't see them, do you? I never see that. I never see anybody complaining about Bruce Springsteen's tickets. I never see anybody complaining about Bono's tickets. Springsteen, Taylor Swift makes she's almost a young billionaire. She's got a couple of planes. And I've yet to see anybody talking about her ticket prices. You want to talk about the CEO of Starbucks, but you don't want to talk about the CEO of Taylor Swift. They're hypocrites. Oh, you go, girl. You live your best life, girl. Oh, yeah, you making all that money. This guy over here in Starbucks, though, he's a bad dude. He's bad. Springsteen. I hate Trump. I hate Trump. I hate Trump for a long time. Hey, you giving away free tickets? Oh, hell no. Bono. I want to change the world. You giving away free tickets? Nope. Why is nobody complaining about those guys? It's all hypocrisy. Again, bread and circuses. Bitch at the rich, white guy who's a CEO of a company, but let's not complain about LeBron and Jay-Z and Beyonce and Taylor. You don't want to talk about that. You got to improve your position in life. The price difference is state tax. California getting its money for newcomers. You don't want my opinion about that. I live in Florida. If I was oppressed by a state like that to the point where my kids, my grandkids, my wife, everybody was struggling, there would be only one option for me. Because it's telling me what's there, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. What's here? Don't go to concerts or other venues, too expensive, overpriced. Yeah, there's a choice. They complain as they line up for overpriced coffee. Exactly. The same people that this guy gets paid $100 million to make money, these people are coming in paying $8, $9, $10 for a cup of frickin' coffee. I have never bought a cup of Starbucks coffee in my life. Never went. What else we got here? Rick Barry sings the hits. Oh God, move there! Yeah, move. Get up, move. Jobs are plentiful here. Jobs are plentiful in Texas. Jobs are everywhere. If you're struggling, stop struggling. There's a novel concept. No, nobody is forcing you to stay where you are. Oh, I got family here and I got my friends here. They obviously ain't paying your bills. At some point, you have to do what's right for you and your family. And say, it's not working here. I'm struggling too damn hard. Life isn't good here. But my friends and family are all here. Well, maybe they need to move too. I mean, Barry, that's so cold. It's not cold. I did it. I lived in Connecticut. This sucks. Everybody I know here thinks it sucks. Why are we all sucking together when some of us can leave? Just saying. Later on, I'll get a free cup of coffee because it's my birthday. Happy birthday! My countertop coffee tastes great and it's cheap too. Leave California if you can't afford to live. See, that's the other thing. That's why I said the thing about people from New York moving down. If you move from one of those two states, you will be amazed at how much further your dollar goes. If you're paying $3,000 a month for a flat walk-up in New York, and you got to deal with all the craziness, and then the weather, it's cold, you're shivery, and it looks cool because you're all dressed in black going all around the town, but it ain't going to be like that pretty soon if the communist gets in there. Maybe you start looking at it now going, you know what? Maybe I can't afford to live in Boca. Maybe I can't afford to live in Miami. But I'm looking at Melbourne, and Melbourne's got some really cheap stuff. And I'm looking at Daytona. It's not that bad. I can afford Daytona. Oh, Ormond Beach. There's so many different cities, especially if you can work remotely. Nope, no state income taxes down here. We're about to get rid of property taxes. What did somebody say here? Breaking. Judge announces that Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, will appear in court on October 30th. Gene Lee says, I purchased 1 cup of Starbucks coffee when it first opened, never again. I paid $5 for an 8-ounce cup of regular coffee like it was 30 years ago. Yeah. A lot of people don't. Okay, Barry, I feel what you're saying. My blue state of New Mexico really sucks. A lot of people don't realize that what President Trump and some of the red state governors are doing this to entice people to see there's another life. It's like being in a bad marriage. I'm stuck. No, you're not stuck. You just haven't made the decision to get better. If you're in a bad job, why look for a bad job in a bad city? You can do a bad job down here and be happier. I'm like, well, there's a beach I can go to every weekend. Yep. Yeah. Okay, what do we get out of here? I need to get out of Michigan. Yeah, that's it. All right, so if you don't have the money to move, what's your answer? All right. You just answered your own question. If you don't have the money to move, what's your answer? Find it. Well, Barry, that just sounds, like a dream. No. Find out, write down, take out a pad, like I got a pad right here. Take out a pad and says, I need to move. What am I selling? What am I keeping? Where am I going to work if I move? It's called make a plan. If you put it this way, if you're living where you are and you think you don't have enough money, then what makes you think you can't move someplace else and do it better? Usually the one thing that people can't move is because their job. Hey, I'm stuck here. I got to stay here because my job is here. Well, if you're stuck in a job that's not paying you enough, maybe it's time to apply elsewhere. Maybe it's time to see what's out there. Have you looked? Well, I make $20 an hour here. I wonder if there's something in Texas or Florida or Alabama where I could make about the same. And if I make about the same, but my cost of living drops by 20 or 30%, hey, I can make this happen. And, maybe the company that I'm applying for will give me a relocation bonus or help me move or whatever. The things that they can help you do. Or maybe you leave where you're living, move in with your parents and say, here's all my stuff. I'm going to go down and start working and look for a place and start figuring out how much money do you need to get relocated. You see, the answer is up to you, not me. What are you asking me? If you don't have the money to move, what's your answer? Plan. Figure out what your answer is. Let me ask you a reverse question. If you don't move, what's your plan? It's easy to go, I can't do it. I don't have the money to move. So what's your plan? Look yourself in the mirror and go, my plan is to be miserable here and to wonder what life is like in other places. Or you can say, it's going to cost me $5,000 to move everything I own. So I got to save, I got to sell, I got to borrow, whatever it takes to get that $5,000 to get me to someplace else. You got to make a plan. And right now with President Trump and what he's doing, he's giving people the opportunity to do plans. Think of the tax credits. Think of the different things you can do that he's putting in place so that you can better your life. There's no Santa Claus here. People are sitting around waiting, something's got to, no, you got to happen. See, y'all done made me make this into a financial talk. Change is very difficult. You know what's more difficult? Daryl, you know what's more difficult? Not changing. Not changing is always going to be more difficult. It's going to cause you more problems. Let me just check here. All right, so they're setting up the room right now, but they're not ready to go as of yet. I see them all doing mic checks. Mic check, mic check. All right, let's move on for a little bit while we're waiting. So tomorrow at midnight, which would be October 1st, the government shuts down. Oh my God, the government shuts down. And at this point, I don't know when the meeting will be and how they're going to do it. He's busy with Bibi Netanyahu today, but the meeting is about Schumer, Thune, Jeffries, and Mike Johnson. And at this point, President Trump has no reason, none whatsoever, to get off and do something for them. They're going to have to come in and basically just decide that they want to do it. So I've got some clips I want to share with you and talk to you about in regards to that. Let's go here.
Fox to reveal what's really going on. Doge exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Now here's the story. Doge has found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a social security number. No interview, no proof of identity. Just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021, Doge says 270,000 new aliens were issued social security numbers, 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and
That make you puke? Especially after we just came off of talking about how many people are struggling and they're not finding opportunity, and you're starting to hear this stuff come out, that your government, your money was going to help newcomers, while people in the chat were just talking about how badly things were going for them and their family. In 3 years, what's that, almost 9x the number of Social Security numbers were issued. 270 in 2021 and 2 million in 2024. You don't think that has anything to do with an election? If you don't, you're kidding yourself. Look at all that. That's incredible.
0.1 million in 24, right before Biden left office. Doge also discovered that 1.3 million aliens are now receiving Medicaid. Millions receive driver's licenses.
All right, so that's important as you lead and listen to the shutdown information. He just said there's over 1 million newcomers as of today. Never mind the ones who are already taken off or been deported. There's over 1 million people right today who aren't supposed to be here, who you're paying their Medicare bills for, Medicaid bills for. Let that sink in as you start to hear what the Democrats are saying about, oh, they're going to take all these people off the health care, trying to scare everybody else, realizing it's just those people who are going to get kicked off. Incredible.
Registered to vote, and Doge says some actually did vote. Try and square that against Democrat claims that Musk is destroying Social Security and cutting Medicaid. He's not destroying, he's weeding out people who don't qualify. Who is really guilty of misinformation in this case? It is not Elon Musk.
Congressman. All right, so I had to go back and find that. So the number may be bigger, maybe lower at this point, but that is the basis for everything that's happening today and tomorrow. They want to continue that money going to the newcomers. All of it. They want $500 billion, $500 billion, to go to NPR and some liberal media. Almost $1 trillion of spending. And President Trump's not budging. No, they can't have it. Go away.
It enough for, if they walk out of this meeting and decide we're going to sign whatever the House Republicans passed and everyone's going to go ahead with this clean CR until November and a separate deal dealing with health care? Or do you feel, does your caucus feel like those two things have to be linked, or can they be separated in two different deals?
No, they have to be linked. This has to be an ironclad deal that is spelled out in legislation.
Well, certainly any enlightened agreement, at the end of the day, any sustainable agreement should always be bipartisan in nature, and that's been our position. It's also been our position quite clearly that we've got to address this Republican health care crisis. Think about this. The largest cut to Medicaid in American history, a potential $536...
Stop, Hakeem. And I also want to say stop to ABC and stop to CBS and everybody else. When they say that, stop them. The largest cut in history. Nobody on the media ever says, Mr. Jeffries, yeah, who's getting cut? Yeah, it's the largest cut in history. It probably is. To who? They never ask. They just let him say this stuff, and then you're supposed to think, oh, everybody's going to get hurt. They're going to cut all this stuff. No. They have to remove these people from the medical roles that you're paying for, but they won't ever say it.
$1 billion cut to Medicare if Congress doesn't act by the end of the year. And if we don't extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, more than 20 million Americans are going to experience dramatically increased premiums, copays, and deductibles in an environment where the cost of living in America is already too high.
Complete lie. Complete lie. And the problem is the media doesn't call these people out on it, and they just keep saying it over and over. And now they're getting even more desperate because some of the Democrats are starting, well, I would say some, a few of the Democrats are starting to realize this is a losing issue. What do we do about this?
Now, I will always remain on is it is always, always wrong to shut our government down. That is a core responsibility. I'm always going to vote against those things. And if it's the Republican side or now it's our side, I'm going to condemn it as well, too, especially with the kinds of chaos that we are facing after Kirk. And now there's a Cat 5 storm that might hit our nation, too. Now, and you're willing to threaten us down. I was the only Democrat voting against that. And now that CR was the same CR from the Biden administration as well, too.
Right.
For me, I'm a big believer of if you want to change the policies, win elections. And that's really the way democracy works. And I didn't vote for the big, beautiful bill. And I do think healthcare, could be a solution. But I don't think shutting our government down is the wrong thing. And that's why I think it's the wrong time, certainly at this point.
Senator, it's the leverage.
Would you have ever imagined that the most reasonable and sensible Democrat would have been Fetterman? Of all the Democrats out there, you would have thought, Fetterman, he might be, he's got bad problems. He had a stroke, and the stroke made him better. The rest of them are crazy, whack, stupid. They don't have any idea what they're doing. And they can't see the forest for the trees that the American people, for the most part, except for the nose ring wearing blue hairs, don't want to pay for this stuff anymore. In order for there to be prosperity, you have to have less debt. Same thing from the government, same thing for you personally. And so when I looked at that, and I was talking to you guys earlier about, hey, I can't afford to move. Well, maybe you can if you do the same thing that Trump's trying to do. What I need to cut. And sometimes, like the one gentleman said, change is hard. It's supposed to be. That's why it's called change. It's not staying the same. If staying the same isn't working, then change, of course, is going to be hard. Maybe I have to do without cable. Maybe I have to do without this car and I need to go trade it in and get a beater. Maybe I don't need to eat this. Maybe I should eat Spam. Until I can get things going the way I want to. I've told people back when they've asked me, how do you make a change when it's so drastic? I'm like, pretend you're in college. Some of us are older now and maybe more established. But what did you live on when you were in college? I had a friend who figured out a way he could live on $2, and I remember the number, $2.30 per week. I didn't say day, $2.30 per week. And I'm like, there's no way. And I watched him. I watched what he did. And he did. He challenged all of us. And it forever changed my way of looking at things. He used to buy he didn't buy Kraft macaroni and cheese. He bought Publix macaroni and cheese. I'm like, all right. And instead of using butter, he used some sort of what do you call it? Crisco. And he'd melt the Crisco down and put that in the cheese, and he would have to make a big bowl of macaroni and cheese. And then he would buy a pack, back then, a stack of frozen hamburgers. And then he would buy a couple loaves of bread. And this dude lived for $2.30 a week. Now, I'm not telling you that you need to go back and be a sophomore in college wondering how you're going to eat, but if you could do it back then, you could find a way to be bare bones now. And then once you restrict yourself and become bare bones, then you start figuring out, oh, okay, now I've got a little bit of a nest egg, now I can do some investing. And investing in that regard, investing in yourself. So it's the same thing what Trump is doing right now. We don't need to spend this, and this. We don't need it. But what we're going to do is we're going to charge other people. I don't know, sort of like a job. We're going to put a tariff. You ever put a tariff on yourself? Yeah, you have. You just don't realize it. You, at some point in your life, maybe even today, you have a tariff on you. Some of you guys are frowning right now. Barry, what the hell are you talking about? Because you're taking a job and someone's paying you for your time, and you have said, my time is worth this much. You have assigned a timestamp on your behind. I am willing to take $9, $10, $20, whatever it is, that's your tariff. Instead of saying, I want $100 an hour. Well, no one's going to hire me. Well, yeah, they will if you show them that you can produce something that makes sense for them. But too many people are accepting the tariff that somebody else places on them. Hey, I'd like to get a job here. Okay, we're paying people $12 an hour. They're telling you the tariff. Twist that script. Hey, listen, I like your skills. You look like you can do a good job. We're offering 12. Sorry. Least I could take is 15. Oh, you like that, huh? Yeah. Take the tariff off yourself.
Is in the president's hands because the overwhelming majority of the American public wants to keep the government open. I mean, it's not even close. Democrats and Republicans, independents across the country want the government funded because they want our military and our troops to be paid. They want TSA agents and Border Patrol to be paid. They want food assistance programs for women and children in impoverished communities to continue going out the door. All of that will come to an end if Democrats vote against this clean CR that Republicans are proposing. And might I just add, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are on the record multiple times in their past political lives stating that they too believe a government shutdown is bad. In fact, I quote, Chuck Schumer just last year in 2024 said a shutdown would mean chaos and pain and needless heartache for the American people. Well, we hope that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats won't cause chaos and pain and heartache. We want our country to continue to be funded. We want our government to be open so we can continue doing the business of the American people.
So just one of my questions that I have is that none of this stuff ever happens in a vacuum. We all know, okay, here's another government shutdown. Here we are talking about this again. And I always wonder to myself, since these things are on the calendar, since we know these things are going to happen, since we know where this puck is going, why are people never skating to where the puck is? That's why I keep telling you this. These things are not done in secret. You know on this date something is going to happen, or at least you're pretty much sure it is. Just the same way you know that Halloween is on the 31st and Thanksgiving is the fourth Thursday of November and that Christmas is December 25th and New Year's Eve is 31st and New Year's is the 1st. You know those on your calendar. Every single one of you watching already knows that. Every single one of you who's married knows your anniversary. Every single one of you who has kids or an other, you know the birthdays. None of this sneaks up on people. The government makes it seem like it's abject chaos that the government might shut down. Well, a prudent person makes arrangements. A prudent person would look and say, number one, I don't care if it shuts down, and nor do I care how long it shuts down. I'm not on government assistance. However, if I was, I would make sure I know that my stuff is being taken care of. And then I would be making arrangements for the stuff that's not being taken care of. Don't let things sneak up on you to the point where it becomes chaotic. I speak with full clarity because, as I mentioned, and as John Fetterman said, there's two big hurricanes right there. And every time they happen, we see the models and they say it's going to go here. But you know what we do? You got water? Yeah. We got canned food? Yep. Got batteries? Yep. Flashlight? Yep. Check, check, check. Okay, we're ready. And it was funny. A sheriff here in Florida, I won't say where because I don't want to give out his whereabouts, he texted me. And it was really interesting what he texted me. He said, we've said that the military is the only way. Now he's slipping them in, as you've seen, the various cities. And you keep telling your viewers to get prepared. Maybe they don't know how. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And he goes, we know because we live on the East Coast. It's simple. It's the same thing that you do for a hurricane. You know weeks in advance to make sure that your stockpile and what you need is ready. We're like squirrels. We're like big-ass squirrels. We put a whole bunch of nuts in the garage just to make sure that if things happen, we're okay. And I love what he said. Maybe the people who watch you don't know. Because we become so accustomed to life down here when people are like, how do you live with hurricanes? Well, we make sure we're ready. Make sure you got gas in the tank in case you got to go. Make sure you got plywood for the people who don't have hurricane impact windows. You prepare. And then the more you prepare for the first one, the second one's like, well, I got even more. Oh, the third one comes, well, I got 2 cans of propane. And you're good. Your garage looks like a survival warehouse. Literally. Robin prepped all kinds of stuff. If something happened and the power went down here, you're like, yeah, we're okay. For quite some time, not a day or two. And so I'm imparting upon people who know when this thing is about to shut down or that's going to shut down, what are you doing to make sure your family is okay? If you're concerned about getting a prescription filled, all these kind of things. Because this is where they put the scare tactic on to people. They tell people, oh my God, it's going to shut down. What are we going to do? I don't care. I'm good.
Be clear, there's not going to be any negotiation at this meeting. This is just going to be you and Thune and Trump telling Jeffries and Schumer, we're not giving you anything.
Look, I'm not going to get in front of the president and tell you what he will do, but I've talked with him, a couple of times, even yesterday. And I'm telling you where his head is. He wants to bring in the leaders to come in and act like leaders and do the right thing for the American people. It's fine to have partisan debates and squabbles, but you don't hold the people hostage for their services to allow yourself political cover. And that's what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are doing right now. Yes, it is illegal for illegal aliens to receive health care paid for by hardworking American taxpayers, but they're making the demand to change that. They want to add that back in. That's one of Chuck Schumer's primary demands, to keep the government open, and we're not going to do that. The American people didn't.
See, what I found odd there is Jake Tapper with his sad dog-looking face. He knows it. Again, the same way they don't challenge the Democrats on what is actually they're lying, they don't challenge the Republicans on when they're telling the truth. He could have said, I understand, yes, you're right, they do. He just sits there. He could have said, what evidence do you, they don't want to know.
Vote for us to do that. We're trying to clean up the system. So what they're demanding, they know is outrageous. They know it's far beyond the pale. And look, I challenge anybody listening to us, Jake, go pull this up. You will see there is nothing partisan in what we have passed and presented to the Senate. Chuck Schumer is doing this for one reason. He is trying to get cover from the far left base of his party because they've been hammering him for not fighting Trump. So he's going to try to show that he's fighting Trump, but he has absolutely no logical basis for doing so here. Well, I had a long talk with the president yesterday, Jake, and he feels the same way that I do about this. He's always open to discussion, but he wants to operate in good faith. So he decided to bring us all in. He wants to talk with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and just try to convince them to follow common sense and do what's right by the American people. Jake, it's important to point out the only thing we are trying to do is buy a little time. The appropriators in both parties have been working very diligently over the last many weeks to work through the appropriations process. As you know, the law requires us to pass 12 separate appropriations bills and to be good stewards of American taxpayers' dollars. But that hasn't happened. It usually doesn't happen in Washington. Everything gets pushed to the end of the year right before Christmas, and there's a giant omnibus spending bill. Since I became Speaker, I've been trying to force back the muscle memory to force Congress to do its work, and we're doing it. Jake, I'm delighted to tell you, in a bipartisan fashion, the appropriators have worked through 12 separate appropriations bills in the House committee. 3 are passed off the floor in the House. 3 passed off the Senate floor. Those bills don't match up exactly, so there's a conference committee between 2 chambers working as they're supposed to for the first time since 2019. But here's the problem. We run out of clock, because the end of this September 30th is the end of the fiscal year. So what we did was a simple, clean, continuing resolution. It's 24 pages in length. All it does is keep the government open so appropriators can continue to do this work. together, bipartisan. Chuck Schumer came back with a long laundry list of partisan demands that don't fit into this process, and he's going to try to shut the government down. The president wants to talk with him about that and say, please, don't do that.
This is a simple 7-week funding resolution to allow us to do a normal appropriations process, something that Democrat senators have said that they want to see done, but something that Leader Schumer didn't do when they had the majority. They didn't do appropriations bills. This is new leadership. We're trying to do appropriation bills in the old-fashioned way, in an open, transparent way, where the Appropriations Committee writes the bills with Democrat and Republican input, reports them out to the floor, where we have an open amendment process. This is simply about keeping that appropriations process going. I don't know where what we're supposed to be negotiating. We did this.
Perfect thing for him to say. What are we negotiating? Why do you need to have a meeting? We either have to do it one way or the other. One way is we do an actual budget. Ooh, a budget. Oh no, we could never do that. So the other thing is we kick the can down the road and just do this continuing resolution, which basically benefits the Democrats. The continuing resolution means you keep the spending at current levels until we figure something out. They don't even want to do that. That's why I don't think it's going to shut down. I think they'll eventually accept the continuing resolution that President Trump's team has put out there. Because here's what's going to happen. If the government shuts down, they're screwed. I mean, they're already screwed. They are completely screwed. I don't know if I have enough time to get to it because I see them setting up. But let me just show you something if I can put this in place. Even Newt Gingrich was saying something about it. The Schumer shutdown is only a few days away. President Trump has agreed to meet with the 4 congressional leaders. Speaker Mike Johnson has already passed a clean, continuing resolution to keep the government open to mid-November. Again, there's your hockey puck. Even if they shut it down, agree to the continuing resolution, they're going to have to do all this all over again in mid-November. You now know the date. So it's coming right back around. Even if they sign it right now, even if they stop it from shutting down today or tomorrow, they're going to have to do this charade all over again in mid-November. It's crazy. Senate Leader Thune is prepared to help keep the government open. The key question is whether Senate Democratic Leader Schumer will support keeping the government open or block it, guaranteeing that it will be known as a Schumer shutdown. It will be suicidal for Democrats to shut down the government, demanding more money. The American people oppose both more spending and shutting the government down. The Schumer shutdown would be a double negative for the Democrats. So the biggest part of that post was, guess what? We're going to do this dance all over again in a couple of months.
Times when they had the majority, and in every circumstance, Republicans delivered the votes, so much so that the lowest vote count on all 13 of those was 65 senators. This is a simple, straightforward deal to keep the government running, so for the next 7 weeks we have an opportunity to finish the appropriations process.
So
they're trying to hijack it and load up all this liberal special interest stuff that they're working with these outside groups to do. It's politics. It is political posturing. They are afraid of their base, and they're trying to do something to get them motivated and not angry at them.
Just the White House Budget Office released a memo telling agencies to prepare for mass firings if there's a shutdown. Do you support mass firings of federal employees if the government shuts?
All right, so this I had a problem with. At some point, you got to stop being a politician and be a leader. You call yourselves leader, Senate leader. She asked you this question, you just said, hell yes. Not just yes, hell yes. I support firing all these people. You have no downside from this. Why couldn't you answer this simple question?
Down?
It doesn't have to happen. That's what I'm saying.
But do you support it?
They're playing
would
with
you
fire,
support it?
and they know it. They're playing with fire, and they know it, Kristen.
But do you support this threat by the...
See, she's a good enough reporter to realize right now I got you on a hook, and I can also see that you're backstroking. She's smart enough to realize that. He should have been smart enough to say, all right, I'm not taking the bait. F yes, I support it. Now you got nowhere to go, Kristen. I want to see as many permanent government employees removed as possible. That's what he should have said. But he didn't say it, and he looks kind of weak not saying it right to her face. And she's got you.
Chuck Schumer said a few months ago that a government shutdown would be chaotic, harmful, and painful. He's right, and that's why we shouldn't do it. So this is, I mean, if you're worried about that, then let's keep the government open. It's a pretty straightforward, again, argument. I find this, I'm very comfortable with the position that we have. It's to fund the government, finish the appropriations process, deal with the issues the Democrats want to deal with after we keep the government open.
The federal government...
Wrong. You should have just came out and been a man about it and been a leader, a real leader, and said, yeah, if we close it, we're going to get right where we want, and we're going to get rid of a whole bunch of you. Gone. Done with them. They're still setting up chairs, so let me go to this next segment. This is with a guest we've previously had, Peter St. Onge, who's going to explain to you in very, layman's terms what happens with this shutdown.
Is about to run out of spending authority, meaning every federal activity Donald Trump deems not essential is shut down. This would instantly lay off hundreds of thousands of federal bureaucrats, no DOGE required. In fact, the White House has already ordered federal agencies to, quote, prepare mass layoff plans, but also automatically defund an army of millions of left-wing NGOs.
All right, so that's huge. Just to break it down, President Trump at that point, he will deem what's essential and not essential. Scary how much power that puts in his hands. Then he will determine who gets to stay and who gets to go. Even more power. And most of the power is I can now eliminate all these NGOs, all these slimy, backstroking, cigar room dealing these people have been doing is all going to go away. That's why I'm like, there's no way they're going to shut the government down. You're watching a dog and pony show. No way. The ability to, the capabilities they will be handing President Trump would be catastrophically destroying to the Democrat Party. Can you just imagine? At that point, he declares what's essential and not essential. He declares which agencies and which employees can stay and who can't stay permanently. It's not a layoff. They're permanently gone. And then he can say, we're going to get rid of all these NGOs. There's not a Democrat alive who wants to give President Trump that power. It can't possibly. So all this theatrics that they're doing about the shutdown, I'm going to push some chips into the table here and go, yeah, about 11:55 tomorrow night, they're going to, we came up with a deal. Because now you know what could happen, and of course they know what could happen. You're like, you're going to give him that much power? Yeah,
Would instantly balance the federal budget. Who knew it was that easy?
Talking to a finance guy like Peter is like, it would instantly balance the budget. Let that sink in. If this were to shut down, President Trump says we got underwater about this many trillion. I need to cut it. And at that point, he doesn't need the Senate. He doesn't need the House. He can just go in. Government shut down, right? They're not coming back. Just take a giant eraser. Nope. None of you coming back. It's gone forever. Oh, by the way, the Supreme Court already said he could do it. They can't even sue him. They can't find some liberal nut job. That's where he has them right now. He is in the ultimate deal-making situation. I have all the cards. What are you giving me? And I bet you there's one card that he will play or accept. One card. Actually, two cards. One, I want voter ID. Oh, okay, I couldn't possibly do that. Either way, if not, we're going to shut down and I'll get rid of everybody. I want voter ID. Whew, that's a tough one. I don't know if I could sell that. I don't care if you sell it. That's what I want. I want you people to come out and say you agree to voter ID. They never will. But at this point, President Trump can put it all out there. I want this. I want that. You can't stop him. The Supreme Court says he can do it. And if you shut down tomorrow night at midnight, you are ever screwed. You will be an irrelevant party that can never, ever, never be an opponent of any quality. Just let that thing. I'm going to balance the budget. I'm going to take all this stuff out. Boom. What do you think it would do to the economy if, I don't know, Wednesday morning we had a balanced budget? Think about that. Everybody thinking about, oh, there's no opportunity. What would happen if just in one day the budget immediately got balanced?
Spending is voted 1 year at a time, and it runs out at midnight tomorrow. Republicans in Congress proposed extending spending, so-called clean continuing resolution. The Democrats demanded over $1 trillion in new money for health care for illegals, health care for able-bodied Medicaid recipients, along with refunding foreign aid, NPR, and PBS. In other words, demands they knew Republicans cannot accept. Now, last time we hit a shutdown in March, Democrats surrendered to protect their federal workers from DOGE. This time, it looks like the activists are forcing them to fight. Of course, Republicans...
So that makes you wonder right there. Who's controlling the Democrats? I've heard that over and over. The far left wing is forcing the hand of Chuck Schumer. And I'm like, are you telling me AOC and the squad? Who is it? No, it's not them. It's not them at all. It's who's pulling their strings. It is the Soroses. It is whoever's controlling Obama. It is the deep state. The obliteration of the deep state will happen tomorrow at midnight if things go the way that Schumer and Jeffries are trying to do. Secretly, I'm pretty sure President Trump's like, I'm going to go play golf. I don't give a crap. Let it shut down. This would make it so easy for us. And I felt like I had to explain it to you guys because there's so much news going out there, and he didn't even have to take the calls. Mr. President, I've got Hakeem Jeffries on the phone. Tell him I'm getting my toes cleaned or something. I ain't got time for him right now. You don't have to do anything. What are you going to give me? I can't even imagine what he will say to them if he's in a room. What are the ultimates that you think President Trump would want? Well, one, I want voter ID. If we give me voter ID and eliminate mail-in voting, how about those two? If we get rid of those, then we won't shut it down. Well, it's the same thing. Well, sort of, because then we'll vote you the hell out in November 28th. You got nothing. Talk about the definitive rock versus a hard place, which is why the violent part is what happens next. When you back somebody into a corner so badly, they have literally nothing they can do. Give me no voter ID and no mail-in votes, and we won't shut it down. Shut it down, and I'm firing everybody, and I'm going to take all the money from the NGOs. It's checkmate either way. The media doesn't matter. That same sheriff's buddy I talked to you about, he was talking about that. And in his next paragraph that he sent me, because it was really lengthy, he goes, the deep state is fighting for everything. The money, their freedom, and in some cases, their very lives. I'm having to change the mindset of some of the guys and sheriffs I work with. We are going up against those who will fight to the death. Are you ready? I know you are the people who watch your videos understanding that we are in a fight to the death. The new playbook is more like Gaza style, and churches are just the beginning. You know, it's funny when you see some of the stuff happening, and I had the same, and you start talking to people who have the same ideology and realize what you're watching is a much bigger, stronger, seemingly more intelligent, more aggressive opponent, pounding a littler opponent who can't respond. The Democrats are backed right into a corner. Literally, they got 24 hours before I would call it the end of the Democrat Party. When you look at it from that perspective, that you're about to see the end of the Democrat Party, what do you think they'll do? What do you think these people in the shadows are going to do when they realize They have done everything they can to screw this country, and in less than 9 months, this guy has put them to the point where they're looking over the edge, and there's nothing they can do. We're either going to shut this thing down tomorrow, or I'm going to get something I want. That's it. There's no other choice. And either way, you're done. There's no more judge to run to. So the only thing you can do at this point is what we're seeing happen. And that's why I keep saying, are you ready? Because I don't know what they're going to do. This kind of thing is utter desperation.
Should want a shutdown to slash the federal oligarchy, but they historically wimp out because legacy media always blames Republicans when government workers make shutdowns as painful as possible. Indeed, a passel of recent polls showed voters would disproportionately blame the GOP. One says 34% blame Republicans, 23% blame Dems, 34% blame both. Of course, media polls could be fake. The day before the 2024 election, polls had Trump at -9 approval. 24 hours later, he won the election.
So, yeah, the polls are... Don't listen to any polls. Listen to each other. Talk to the people you watch people at work. Watch your friends. Watch your people in church. I had a large, I guess, a policy disagreement with Robin yesterday after what I saw happen at that church in Michigan. I said I would not go to a church that doesn't have armed security. Not going to happen. And the church we go to, as soon as you pull into the driveway, it's got sheriff cars right there. You can see them parked right out front. And Ron was like, you're telling people not to go to church. I'm like, I'm not saying that at all. And I wanted to make sure people who saw my tweet understood. I'm not saying don't go to church. I'm saying go to church prepared. If your congregation, if your parish isn't protecting you, then maybe the guys and ladies in the parish need to get together and say, you know, we got to do something about this because we cannot let this happen. Your adversary is desperate. Your adversary who's been around for hundreds of years in the dark and been doing whatever they want to whatever they want, including kids, now find themselves backed up against the wall. And they find that, you know, some people are under investigation. They may be indicted. The government, Democrats have no power. Now they're cutting off money. Now we're looking completely desperate. These people don't take desperation well at all. And so when I was talking about I'm not going to a church without guards, well, I'm not going to a church that doesn't have guards and won't allow me to carry my own gardening, if you want to believe that. I'm not saying not be afraid to pray. I'm not saying don't go. I say be smart. You are now a target. And that might not feel good to a lot of people, but you are now a target. And they won't think twice about hurting their targets. Their opposition, they need to strike back. We're going to start seeing these things happen with more frequency and faster frequency. What, we had 2 last week? It's not going to get any easier. I'm not one who's going to speak revelation and warn you about the end of the world or anything like that, but it's close to the end of the deep state. And that deep state is driven by the same people who want the end of the world. It's all happening right now.
Done right, a shutdown should be popular. So historically, our occupying bureaucracy intentionally made shutdowns painful. They cut school lunches, threatened Social Security, closed national parks. In fact, they spend extra money to fence off national parks. There's actually a name for this, the Washington Monument Strategy, also known as Firemen First or School Lunches First. Thing is, it does not have to be this way. Trump alone gets to decide which parts are essential and therefore stay open. So
just imagine you're Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and whoever else is behind the scene pulling the strings and realize if we shut down, he's in charge of everything. You know they had the giant rallies all over the country, the No Kings rally? Well, if this thing shuts down tomorrow, they're about to crown a king. That's why they're terrified. He essentially, at 11:59 and 59 seconds tomorrow, the next tick of that clock, we have a king. And that even may strike some people in MAGA kind of scary, like, wait a second, he can do whatever he wants. There is no government at 11:59 tomorrow. It's done. It's President Trump and whoever he allocates to do whatever he needs to do. I want you guys to really accept that. At that point, what he declares to be essential and non-essential is all that matters. You gotta go. You can stay. You definitely gotta go. And all that money that you get paid, that goes back into our general fund, and that And so I wanted to draw the picture to you today to understand what's at stake. And as of right now at 1:30, he's not even dealing with it. He's coming out here with something else. He's coming out here talking about Gaza and Middle East peace with Bibi Netanyahu. And that's what he's doing. I can't even imagine what Hakeem Jeffries and the rest of them are running around right now. They're like, what do we do? He's not even paying any attention to us. It gets dangerous.
The parks keep the school lunches, fire the rest. In practice, that would be at least a third of the federal government shutdown, the parts voters don't like, then keep paying the essentials with incoming tax revenue. Now, this is not necessarily legal, but Democrats are not stupid enough to block Social Security checks and military pay for potentially months. So if
they are that stupid. Again, all countenance goes out the window when you're dealing with people who are completely desperate. I would not. Peter says they wouldn't be that stupid. I don't know. I can't tell you that the Democrats wouldn't say you can't pay Social Security. I don't think there's anything in their quiver that they won't try. Put it this way: what do they got to lose? They have nothing to lose at this point, Peter. Talking to Peter St. Ange. Why wouldn't they do it? Why wouldn't they try to shut down Social Security? Why wouldn't they try to shut down military pay? They got nothing to lose. Oh, it's going to look bad on them if he did. They don't care. If we can force Trump to do something here or there, all these people on Social Security are all going to freak out. It won't matter who lit the match. They're gonna want it fixed right away. And I think the Democrats will do anything.
Had a pair, Republicans in Congress would shut it down for years. This is fun for a number of reasons. First, shutting down a third of the federal government saves $200 billion per month. That would
stop, Peter. You're killing me. You go too fast with stuff. Let people just digest that. Wait a second. What? Shutting down the government saves $200 billion per month. Oh. So if we told these people to take off till January 1st, that's October, November, December, we would save $600 billion, and most of the country wouldn't even miss them. And then most of them can't come back because I'm firing them permanently. Whew. Wow, this is good stuff.
Instantly balance the budget. In fact, we'd be in surplus. Even better, a durable shutdown lays off 740,000 federal workers, about 4 times what they did with Doge. No.
I got it. Oldman says, Barry, with this information, I will be disappointed if the government doesn't shut down at the end of the month. You mean tomorrow? 700,000 government employees immediately erased from existence. Oh, I would not want to be Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer right now.
Federal grants also pay an estimated 3 million employees of overwhelmingly left-wing NGOs. Those would all be gone. In other words, a real shutdown would wipe out the progressive revolution. They'd be down to brainwashed college students.
They'd be wiped out. They have nothing left but the blue-haired nose ring crowd. That's it. Done. Now you know exactly what's at stake here. There is a poker game of epic proportions being played, and we're on the outside looking at this, but no one was telling us the truth. Now, I've been digging all around. I watched Stephen Miller, and everybody's like, you guys know what's about to happen? I don't think everybody knows. I don't think everybody knows that you're about to have a king, which is going to unsettle some people on the right for sure. The amount of power he is about to amass is terrifying to some people. No one will be able to stop him from doing whatever he wants. That's the reasoning behind the complete freakout that you're seeing. They know at this point that this man has got them. He has played some sort of game over the last 9 months where the last move is being played at 11:59 tomorrow. What are you going to do?
Because none of us know. Sean, what's the most likely outcome now for the negotiations over a shutdown?
I think we shut down Tuesday night at midnight. My guess is that we're probably going close to the weekend. I will say this, having watched a lot of the quote-unquote reporting this morning on this, I mentioned this earlier. If the people I'm talking to are correct, I know that the media is talking about apoplectic, effects of the government. They are clearly aware of that and trying to minimize any impact, which is why I think it could go longer than suspected. But I do believe that once they start firing and doing stuff, Democrats are going to get real nervous and cut a short-term deal, 30, 45 days, just to keep it back open.
So what Sean is saying is basically they'll probably try and call his bluff tomorrow. You wouldn't really do it, would you? Go ahead. Let me see what happens at 11:59. You guys want to play that? You want to go all in with a pair of twos? Go ahead. Watch what happens. Because Tuesday morning, or the first would be Wednesday morning, and he comes in and goes, "You're done. You're done. You're done. Pack your shit and get out." Pete, go ahead and send the National Guard in and clear out this building and put a padlock on it. Now, here's where it gets really difficult for this cat and mouse game. Once he begins firing these people, and I'm pretty sure he already knows which ones are going first, they're done. They don't come back. The only thing that Democrats can do on Wednesday afternoon or Thursday afternoon is save other people. They can't say, okay, we'll sign it, but bring no, those don't exist anymore. See, you had your chance at 11:59 tomorrow night. You didn't act on it, and so they're all gone. I guarantee you right now, Stephen Miller, Scott Bessent, they already have the orders sitting on his desk, and he will set an alarm if he's not walking the halls of the White House and say, I need to be in the Oval Office at 12:01. And at 12:01, they're all gone. And then he's going to go to bed so they can't do anything. And then they're going to wake up and want to have a meeting. Hey, can we talk about this? What do you got? Well, we'll agree to it now. Okay. What about, just please stop. No more public floggings, please. Okay, I won't do any more right now. But if just think of it this way. What Sean Spicer is saying, and he's saying that President Trump, they'll come back to the table on Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know if Trump would want to. I don't know at that point if you've amassed so much power and you now you now have the Thanos, you got all the jewels lined up. Why would you take it out? Why would you give that power back to the Democrats? Why would you because at that point they're done as a party. You have succeeded in obliterating the deep state. Why would he come back to the table? Because he feels sorry for him? They tried to shoot him. No, actually, they did shoot him. And so when I hear the pundits like Sean and some of these other people are like, he'll come back to the table, I'm thinking, why? Isn't this what he wanted to do? Isn't this what you wanted him to do? Destroy and obliterate the deep state? So then why would I come back with a concession on Thursday and go, okay, yeah, let's see if we can't work things out? No, screw you. Now I've got the 5 infinity rings or whatever there were. Now I'm going to take you out. All of you. Because now my long game is 2026 and 2028. I no longer want to play with you people anymore.
I think what's happening with Comey is only going to make this shutdown last longer.
Yeah, I agree with that. Bibi's got some charts he's holding up, very Perot-like, and he's speaking directly to the families of the hostages. Those are 2 things I can tell you. All right, we showed you the inflation numbers a little bit. There's been good and bad data on the economy that continues to be confusing. Yesterday, the president announced some more tariffs. Put up the Washington Post headline 110, please. Trump announces new tariffs on trucks, furniture, and pharmaceuticals. President Trump said pharmaceutical products may face tariffs of up to 100%, upholstered furniture 30%, and heavy trucks 25% starting on October 1.
The reason I kept that in here because is it kind of a coincidence? There are no coincidences. On October 1st, this happens too. Wait a second. What else happens on October 1st? The government shuts down. I don't like. Oh my God. He is taking no prisoners. He is not going to let them to expect any mercy. Just keep coming. So is he going to sit down on Wednesday or Thursday if this thing shuts down tomorrow night? I don't know.
So there's a lot of debate about the data. 2 sets of data. There's the economic data, which I said is confusing. And then there's the president's polling. His polling has not collapsed overall. His job approval continues as it has for 10 years to be within a pretty narrow band of floor and ceiling. But his approval rating on a variety of topics has gone down. And 2, probably most notable, would be on both immigration, which of course has been his signature issue where his numbers were pretty high. That's come down. I don't know exactly why. And then on the economy, his numbers have come down. And we've said this before, I think here, if his numbers are the way they are now, the Republicans will lose the House. That's
just nothing but Democrat conjecture. That's Democrat opining, hope. He's going to lose the House. Okay, let me show you something because it's very simple. I see they're still walking around in the room, so you haven't missed anything. I follow guys sometimes who actually see some of the stuff, the Data Republican, she's talking about it. And I just want you to understand why these polls are complete BS. So I did a few of the back of the envelope calculations that should make you smile. Total voter roll purges, not yet complete, saw a net loss nationally of 1.2 million Democrats. 1.2 million. Deportations, 2 million. Figure half those voted 90%. That's another 900,000 out the door. Totally separated from number 1, voter registration changes are massive and so far have amounted to 1.2 million. However, in the last 10 days since the Charlie Kirk assassination, these shifts have put on stomp in North Carolina and Arizona. The shift has doubled, seeing our Republicans gain in 10 days. Continuing, what used to take a month, by my rough estimates, at the end of 25, Republicans will have gained in voter registrations net over Democrats at least 1.5 million. So far, this amounts to over 3.6 million net margin for the Republicans to project that into 2026. A 3.6 million net margin. That the voter reg gains by Republicans slows down to say to normal pre-Kirk levels, you're looking at a 5 million net gain for Republican losses for Ds nationally. Needless to say, this isn't even remotely sustainable for the Democrats. So every one of these people who are putting out these stupid polls, stupid polls, aren't doing simple math. And it's probably been like that for quite some time because the Democrats were able to overinflate the number of people voting for them with this mail-in scam and everything they do on election night. And now it's becoming mathematically almost impossible for them to win. What are you going to do? You can't make these people up. That does not, of course, factor in any redo of the 2020, meaning, when they do crazy stuff. But by 26, the addition of Indiana, Ohio, Kansas, Florida will add 6 Republican seats. The polls aren't counting that. Remember the redistricting that they did so they get more Republican seats? So in addition to all the votes that are being added to the Republican side of things, there's also 5 more people going to be in the House. Tell me how they're supposed to win. Again, a lot of things can change for better or worse, but the safe seat total, according to Cook, is without toss-ups or flips. However, given the above numbers, toss-ups will increasingly favor Republicans. Bottom line, either structurally in the House or overall, you can see why I keep saying the modern Democrat Party is headed for extinction. They would not be in any position to win back either chamber of Congress in 26 nor the presidency in 2028. But now comes the boom. The 2030 census will not be hijacked by radical bureaucrats, according to calculations. Still between 14 and 20 red seats with the criminal maladjustment of the 2020 census. The House structure, our advantage, plus the Electoral College structural advantage, means that these will be sitting on only about 160 safe electoral votes. And will have to win a whopping 2/3 of all toss-ups to win a presidential election. P.S. I used the voter registration method without any polls to successfully and perfectly predict 2016 when no one said Trump would win in 2024. So, again, both these projections were made without using polls, almost entirely on voter registration shifts. If you want an explanation as to why the Democrats are now resorting to terrorist mode. They somewhere are seeing these same numbers. They know they may, at best, have one election left till they are extinct. See, none of this it should catch you by surprise as I'm laying it out for you. Is all the polls and everything, I don't know if they're using stale milk or what. They're listening to these pundits who aren't looking at the actual numbers. And that is before any government shutdown happens. All of that is before. So what do you think is going to happen if everything shuts down? People who are looking at numbers are realizing you're looking at an extinction level event for the Democrats right now. The obliteration that President Trump promised, he's on the cusp of it. And we're going to know a whole lot within the next 24 to 48 hours. And either way, he's going to amass so much power.
It's just a fact. So, Dan, where are we on the economy? Where are we on the president's political support?
Well, I think on the economy, there's been some good news, and I'm sure Sean will reference the statistics here, and there's been some bad news. I think what's the most important thing is voters don't feel good right now. And so if you look at the critical blocks, 113 here, there have been several polls now that show that Latino voters are souring on Donald Trump. And the number one issue they keep citing over and over again is the economy. You look at young voters, number one issue, the economy. They keep saying they're frustrated. So with all this noise going on, I think we all agree the economy will always be the number one issue in our elections. Trump and Republicans have a problem. One of the things Trump said yesterday in his nonstop talking to the press was they're going to bail out farmers, is what he's now talking about. That he's going to use tariff money.
Didn't that come up on one of our...
Yes, that if you listen to the morning meeting, Mr. Sean Spicer said, well, that was his first time that they've really admitted, again, because it happened in the first term, that this is hurting somebody. And you heard Democrats smartly come out and say, what about manufacturers? What about small businesses? I mean, this is the trap. So I think...
No, that's not the trap. What the trap is to get you people to doubt this. The one thing that you need to and as you see all of this happening, is to look at your phone and check your calendar and see the date is September, that he's been in office for 9 months. So, what do you think happens if the government shuts down, or it doesn't shut down, but they call his bluff and it's only shut down for a few days, or any of the things that they're going to have to give him? What do you think is going to change? Well, the first thing that's going to change is the economy. And I just think sometimes when I listen to these people, they're not looking at the lay of the land. They're not taking into account, here's where we are today, and Trump already knows where he wants to be 6 months from now. I don't care about any polling today. I don't care about any disgruntled people today, because I can see where he's going with things. And again, if he shuts down the government, or whatever, it gets shut down, and he can get rid of 600,000 or 700,000 federal employees and shut down NGOs and save $200 billion a month, you don't have to be a huge economist to realize, oh, the economy is going to take off. Yeah. If he does away with capital gains tax, yeah, it's going to take off. I don't get when people are looking so myopic and they're just looking right here, and I'm thinking to myself, why aren't you looking over there? Because that's where he's looking. He doesn't give a shit about polls. Hey, poll, I don't care about a poll. Nobody knows what we're building. I'm a builder. I already know what the building is going to look like. I've got the architectural drawings. But right now you're looking at steel and concrete. And you're like, that's not pretty at all. That's just a bunch of poles and there's cranes and, yeah, it's ucky. Because you don't have the architectural renderings. You don't know that this building is going to look with glass and steel and it's going to be fantastic the way the sun shines off of it. You don't have that. But that's where you need to come in and start realizing everything these people are saying is based upon right now. Even when they film this, it's not the same. And I would have asked them if I was sitting in their call, so what happens if the government shuts down for a month? How does that affect the economy? Well, it's going to be awful because all these people are going to lose their jobs, and I'm like, who's going to notice? Oh, their families are going to notice. They won't be able to eat and everything else and blah, blah, blah. So you're thinking that someone who's a career political employee couldn't get a job? A real job? Maybe not paying $200,000 or $300,000 a year to figure out forms or something, but you're telling me they couldn't get a job in this economy and where things are going? Then maybe it's okay if they're not being paid by the government. I don't know. That's how I'm kind of thinking. This was supposed to start at 1:15. It is now 1:52, and I can show you that they're all sitting there waiting. Nobody as of yet has come out. All the press is sitting there, but you can see they've got the podium set. And I always figure President Trump's not going to be on time. And because of that, I've learned my lesson. Make sure you got content. Let's keep going.
Politically, this continues to be a problem. And if it doesn't start getting better by the spring, voters lock in. And then you add this noise and you got problems.
Sean, put on.
By the spring. By April? It's September. So much has changed in the last couple months. And these people are like, it doesn't get better by the spring. The spring? Seriously? They're so used to critiquing the old playbook. The old playbook is this big thing called a government does not move very quickly. It's very slow for it to move. They're not used to trying to critique somebody who wakes up in the morning and pretty much says, what can I break today? Because in order for me to make something, I got to break something. Yeah, you've heard the adage, in order to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. You got to break something. And I'm pretty sure seeing what President Trump has done in business, he's like, I need to break something, even if it's just ground. In order for me to build, I got to break ground first. These people they're so entrenched in their same ideology that, and they're probably not business people, and they don't see where things are going. And so when I talk to you guys sometimes about the prosperity angle and people get upset and blah, 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 I'm like, it's because being in business, I can see where things are going. I already know. I already know. Ashley's been with me long enough now. She knows where things are headed. She and I are talking. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. Well, what if that doesn't work? Well, if that doesn't work, we'll try this. We'll try that. So where do you want to do this? Instead of looking right here, oh, well, that show did well. No, I know where I want to be. I want to be there. And it does. Somebody said yesterday that I was getting lackadaisical in my approach to the shows. And I think I put the person back, like, A, it was a weekend. B, I have a family. And if my wife's, and I've told you this many times, if I wake up and Robin says, I want to go do this, that's first. If Ashley were to call and say, I need you to come on up and take care of something, bye. My family will always come before anything else I do here. But, like I said, what we're building right now is so that we can do, I can flip the switch and go late at 1 o'clock in the morning if y'all gonna be up. You won't even believe the stuff we're putting together. It's taking some time to try and build it. Because I'm not looking here, I'm looking at, okay, we're gonna have a room there, a room here, room two. It's gonna be awesome. And I'm putting, investment into it so that we can do it. So these guys who are, constant pontificators and looking at things, they don't look at big picture when there's no picture. And that's very hard for some people to look at because they're so used to charts and information that they can't look at the information that's not there. And I know from my experience in real estate, and I'm pretty sure it's the same thing for President Trump's experience in real estate on a much bigger level. I'm driving along going, wait a second. You know what would go really well right there? Yeah, a 20-story high rise. Yeah, that would fit right there. He would go out and probably build something. Me on a much smaller level, I drive around, look at a house and go, I bet you we could fix that up. I bet you that house right there we could do something with. But there's no data. When I first see it, I got to go do my data. And I'm like, these guys can't see down the road.
Your hat that is half Tony Fabrizio and half Scott Bessent, and give us your view. Where's the economy? Where's the president's poll standing?
Love both of those guys, but that's not an image I want in my head. I think that the White House, I believe correctly so. And again, so just to be clear, we got good GDP numbers yesterday, some great small business numbers the other day, some of the highest ever in terms of confidence in small business. So I think they surveyed 800 small businesses talking about their hiring, and small business is the engine and the backbone of the economy. I think that they truly believe, and again, to me, I believe this as well. When these companies who are making massive investments and talking about building in the U.S., Apple talking about the glass in Kentucky and, all of this kind of stuff, I believe that their view is, okay, there might be a couple months between now and then where there's some churn, but you look 12 months out, especially ahead of a midterm, we're going to be in really good shape. I share that view.
Duh. If you sit back and stop paying attention to right now. That's why when that gentleman earlier said change is tough, and I said not changing is tougher. Not changing is tougher. And you can do that in your relationships. You can do that vocationally. You can do that with your health. Not changing is the problem. Change is not the problem. Not changing. If I kept eating blueberry muffins, I would probably have had a problem. If I was a smoker, if I was a drinker, if I was this, if I was that, if I didn't, I never was a smoker, but you know what I mean? You got to change. Otherwise, not changing is the problem. A little breaking news came out, and let me go ahead and show you this. The White House has released a readout, and maybe this is why they are delayed. There was a call between Trump, Netanyahu, and Qatar, and confirms Netanyahu expressed deep regret for his strikes on Qatari territory. Keep pushing for peace, President Trump, end this war so we can focus on America. So I want to show you something in regards to this post. This post came out at 1:48. They were supposed to be on stage at 1:15. So obviously, there's something going on behind the scenes. Everybody's sitting around going, all right, where are these guys at? It's now 2 o'clock. They were supposed to be here 45 minutes ago. And President Trump's like, yeah, we got stuff to do. We're out here talking world peace. All right, let's continue.
Government shutdown issue looming next week. How do you see this? And are you opposed to a shutdown, or do you think there would be advantages to that potentially?
Well, look, we don't want to shut down the government, Martha, but it's really up to the Democrats. Under our system, you need 60 Senate Democrats to vote for the clean continuing resolution that the president and House Republicans have put forward. I think it's preposterous, Martha, and I think the American people really should pay attention to the fact that Democrats are threatening to shut down the entire government because they want to give hundreds of billions of dollars of health care benefits to illegal aliens. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a political party actually advertising the fact that they want to shut down every essential function of government, and they want to use that as leverage so that they get more money for illegal alien health care benefits. It's such a stark contrast between Republicans who are trying to put the interests of the American people first and Democrats who I think would want to take money from the American people to give benefits to illegal aliens. We don't want to shut down the government, but if Democrats refuse to just pass this clean continuing resolution, that's exactly what's going to happen, and I think the Democrats are going to bear the responsibility for it.
So the vice president comes out and says, yes, I don't want to, but if they don't continue it, it's going to shut down. So I think that was as good as hearing it from Trump himself, hearing it from J.D. Vance, like, do it or else. There's your negotiation. You can take with it what you want. And I'm going to show you some information here on a pollster, Frank Luntz, that I'm starting to see more and more people beginning to understand that Democrats have no way out of this.
A PAC view of the Democratic Party, so put this up on the thing. View of the Democratic Party, 31% is favorable, 54% unfavorable. I mean, Frank, when you look at these numbers, and then they tell you, by the way, these are the worst showing numbers ever for the Democrats, that's a bold statement.
Ever. History. The Democrats have never been in a worse position, ever. And it's about to get worse in a day or so.
There are three questions that the public is asking. Number one, where do you stand? Number two, what would you do? And number three, why should we trust you? None of that is coming from congressional Democrats. You have a couple of governors that do communicate effectively. Wes Moore out of Maryland and Jared Polis out of Colorado are examples. But for the most part, Washington Democrats have Washington solutions to Washington problems. And let me give you a warning for people who are watching right now. If the government does shut down, the Democrats are going to get blamed. Chuck Schumer is going to be held responsible. And I even hear that there are Democratic senators that may upend him, may say enough to him because he's so out of touch.
I got to go, Frank, but you mentioned Chuck Schumer, and I want to just add that Chuck Schumer was on TV today saying we got to keep hitting Trump, but we got to show voters we're on their side on things, and it's tough, right? They're not really doing that. Your last words.
You have to listen to them. You have to learn from them before you can lead them. I'd say to the Democrats, you need a new message, a new messenger, and a new approach, because the old stuff isn't working.
Yeah. Frank Luntz, great to have you on the show as always. Thank you, sir.
How many times do they have to hear that? How many times do these people have to actually be told, hey, everything you're doing, it's not working. It's absolutely not working. All right, so we're still, as you can see, we're still waiting for everybody to show up. there's more people in the room now, so it might happen sooner, but we can take some comments in the meantime. The Dems have been stealing our money for years while our roads and bridges fall apart. Thank you, President Trump. America First is winning. Exactly. Our elected Congress and senators work for lobbyists, not the American people. I believe that. What else do we think? America's First is winning. If the government shuts down, could President Trump fire Jerome Powell? He could conceivably fire Jerome Powell anytime he actually wants to. Whether or not he would get sued like they did with Lisa Cook. But you notice what he put out there the other day. He actually put out something that said, you're fired. So I'm not really sure what he's going to be doing. I haven't heard a peep out of Morocco, even though they hold our oldest broken treaty. Interesting. Adam says, I will be disappointed if it doesn't shut down. That's exactly how some people are beginning to feel, because you've got so much power at this point being vested in President Trump. There are a lot of people like, go ahead and close it. Shut it down. We don't care. Do it. Oh, man. Because Trump already gave the Dems advice for free that they're doing isn't working. Anything Trump recommends is bad to them. Yeah, they hate it. They hate him. Let's see here. I think of South Park, the movie, when Saddam Hussein singing, I can change, I can change. I remember that. It was too funny. It was so funny. Trump's got this. No panicking. No need to panic at this point. Not when you have all the power. Seeing more people walk into the room. Maybe it looks like we're about to have something happen. People are taking their seats. I don't know who these people are. Don't recognize them, but the more people that come filing out of that back room, the better we're going to get close to the situation here. I'm trying to see who are all these people coming out of there. I'm not sure. Hamas won't accept the deal ever. They want Israel. Well, that's not going to happen. So they might want to little wise up at this point. Maybe a couple booms happen, they'll realize it. I'm not sure what Hamas is going to have to do. I think it's going to take some of the other people in the Arab world to really come down on Hamas. We still need retro pay to our military. Yep, he'll have that. Trump should recommend to the Dems that they should shut down the government. They'd vote to pass for the CR in record time. Trump is peeing in the swamp as it drains. Yeah, it does look like a different. You know what? Somebody just said it looks like a different group of reporters. That may be the reporters from the Israeli side, because I don't recognize any of the ones being from America. Well, wait a minute. I think that blonde lady might be Jackie Heinrich from Fox. But we don't know who else is going to be in this room as well, so I'm not really sure. Trump has already made his mind up. Yeah, that's how I feel. I think that Trump has probably already made up his mind, and it's just a matter of right now everybody hearing from him what he wants to do. But we shall see rather shortly. I knew they were going to be late today. I don't know who any of these people are, but we'll see. Let me see something here. Did I open this? Where did it go? All right, let me take a moment while I have a chance here to read from one of today's sponsors. And some of you guys have liked them, some of you guys haven't. But in any event, you guys have heard me talk about the Red Mega Watch. Some people have purchased it, and if you'd like to get it, I'm going to tell you about it. You know, sometimes you buy a watch just to tell time, but this one is a little bit different. This one tells a story. This Trump wristwatch with the black steel band, bold, solid red face. It's sharp, it's strong, and it stands out. But more important, every time you look at it, every time you check the time on your wrist, it's a little reminder that truth still matters. In a world where everyone's trying to spin you, this watch is like a moral compass that points you back to what's real. And hey, let's be honest, it looks very good. It honestly goes with everything. Dress up, keep it casual, either way. For some, it's a daily piece you'll wear proudly, and for others, perhaps it's something you'll hold on to as a collector's item, as a reminder of this moment in time. And what a time it is to be alive, as we're about to find out in the next 48 hours. Either way, it's not just a watch, it's a statement of what you believe in. It's the kind of thing you'll be glad you've got when someone asks, where were you when all of this was happening? You can just point to your wrist and say, right here. Keeping track of all of this. Yeah, so sure, it tells the time, but it also tells a story, one that represents the truth, and these days that feels even more valuable. Get yours today at themagaoffers.com/BarryWatch, or click the link in the description below this video and you'll get a nice discount just for being a member of the Fanfare family. So that's right there, themagaoffers.com/BarryWatch. All right, people are getting seated, and I can see a lot more people are coming in. It's actually getting crowded, so I think we should be right about ready to do it. See the photographers in place. Give me a second to get my drink refilled, and hopefully we should be ready to roll.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so they still have not, as of yet, come out. I'll be watching this, but I had a couple other news stories I can cover with you while we're waiting. Let me just make sure I have this ready to go at any time. So if you hear something in the background, it's because the audio is on, but I do see everybody seated. So this thing was supposed to start at 1:15, so they are exactly right about now an hour late. So from what I understand, both Netanyahu and Trump are going to speak, and then they're going to take questions. So this thing could go for 30 minutes, it could go for an hour and a half. We shall see once the gentleman begins speaking, and if they're going to announce a deal, then there's going to be probably even more questions. I think we're about ready. More people filing into the room, so we'll see what happens. In the interim, let me tell you about something that happened when they were at the United Nations that you may not have been aware of. A Trump administration RFK Jr. official was physically assaulted by a deranged leftist in the bathroom at the UN this week. The UN has infiltrated. A Health and Human Service official was followed into a bathroom, recorded, physically assaulted, and verbally accosted by a deranged leftist at the United Nations, who somehow entered the venue past multiple layers of security. White House Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly, who was on the show last week. Thankfully, the official is safe and the lunatic was arrested, but this is part of a disturbing and dangerous set of failures by the UN after their sabotage of President Trump ahead of and during his speech. This is a horrible security blunder, unbelievable. Unforgivable. Number one, that these leftists got into the United Nations building and then went into a female bathroom and accosted and assaulted somebody. Unbelievable. No excuse for that kind of stuff. Tomorrow, I haven't seen the schedule as of yet, But tomorrow is probably going to be another big day. Tomorrow, President Trump is meeting with Pete Hegseth and like 800 generals and commandants and everything else. What they're talking about, I don't know. Excuse me. But breaking, Trump now plans to attend a gathering of the U.S. military's top generals in Quantico, on Tuesday, called by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, per WAPO. So that should be pretty interesting. The fact that they're going to have all these guys get together and President Trump will indeed be there. Let me see here. All right, so the first vote, I guess, is just taking place. Ashley sent me. Maybe this is why President Trump is waiting. All but one House Democrat voted to shut the government down. These people suck. These people absolutely suck. So I'm not sure what's going to happen or how it's gonna transpire, but they don't want this stuff fixed. They just don't. Man, absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. I was going to talk about tomorrow all the stuff that's going on in Portland and Chicago and all these different things. But I have a little bit of time so I can start. I know as soon as I start talking about it, they'll show up. So I'll hold that until tomorrow. Let me see what else I can go over with you. Yeah, that's Portland. Yeah, I want to do that Portland stuff tomorrow where I have a bunch of time to spend on it. So I'm not going to get into that right now. So I'm going to let these guys entertain you for the next 5 minutes where I've got to run out to the post box for 1 second. But I'll put some music on.
Tequila in this old town, the pines in Tennessee. I ain't the man I thought I'd be. And these neon lights that keep me up got me thinking maybe mom and dad had it right all along. We're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. Saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, living in our hometown. I miss the days that flowed like the Mississippi. Find a girl and get married before you're 20. But I've been running like a southbound train, as fast as a northern summer with no one to love. And it's making me wonder if maybe mom and dad had it right all along, and we're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever. Saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, living in our hometown. close as it used to be. And there's more tequila in this old town than pines in Tennessee. I ain't the man I thought I'd be. And these neon lights that keep me up got me thinking maybe mom and dad had it right all along. We're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. I'm just saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, living in our hometown. I miss the days that flow like the Mississippi. You find a girl and get married before you're 20. But I've been running like a southbound train, as fast as a northern summer, with no one to love. And it's making me wonder if maybe mom and dad had it right all along, and we're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. No, I'm just saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, living in our hometown. They said if you got whiskey, don't overdrink it. If you find love, don't overthink it. Just find yourself a good one, and don't you let it go. That's what they told. Maybe mom and dad had it right all along, and we're too old to still be alone, and we ain't happy ever after all. No, I'm just saying it wouldn't be as bad as we made it out, staying in our hometown. Yeah, in our hometown. Yeah, maybe we should just go there.
Okay, so I guess we now know what has been taking so long as we're waiting for them to come out. President Trump has just dropped his extensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. This got dropped literally, what time was it? Ooh, it's long. It's very long. They dropped this. And if they're going to go through every paragraph of this, we're going to be here quite some time. So let me go ahead and J.D. Vance is walking out, Marco Rubio. So we're about to start. Let's just jump in here. But I'll show you the plan. while we're waiting for President Trump and Bibi Netanyahu to come out here, I'm reading over the plan, which is going to blow people's minds. I hope they go through it. If they don't go through it, every line, we'll go through it after they're done. But number one is, I can show you it real quick. Number one is Gaza will be a de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. And number two, Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who suffered more than enough. Well, there's 20 different paragraphs of this thing, but they're going to redevelop Gaza. So maybe we're going to have Mega Gaza. It's absolutely crazy, but this would be a huge, huge deal. Again, this thing is 20 long paragraphs. It looks like they put the entire thing out here. So let me just show you while we're waiting, and I'll do this rather quickly. This is the document or the information they put out. Look at all this. There's so much here. Definitely I don't have time to share it with you right now, but there's 20 different paragraphs and a map of where they're going to be doing the control. The IDF, the blue is the IDF current line of control. Yellow is going to be the initial withdrawal. And then there's going to be a second withdrawal, then a third withdrawal to the security buffer zone. So we're about to hear probably one of the most historic press conferences ever. Not just like since January, ever. If these two men can make this deal work, this is going to be amazing. So I don't know how they've been at the cusp of this for so many different times that I don't know how it's going to work. Hopefully they're gonna come out. Somebody actually posted Mara Gaza. That's exactly what I had in mind. Trump Tower on the beach. Marla Gaza. Trump Gaza Casino. Trump Gaza. Oh my gosh. People, they got the same idea. The mega strip. Trump International Shalom Golf Course. The Trump Towers in Judea. Trump Tesla plant. Space export. Mar Gaza. Everybody's onto it. They just saw that. I saw that second paragraph myself, and I was like, "Oh my gosh! Okay, here comes the president and Bibi Netanyahu."
Thank you very much, everybody. So this is a big day, a beautiful day, potentially one of the great days ever in civilization. Things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years. We're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us, with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East. So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East, and let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. So this is far more than anybody expected, but the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible, incredible. Every single one of them. This afternoon, after extensive consultation with our friends and partners throughout the region, I'm formally releasing our principles for peace, which people have really liked, I must say. And these are done not just routinely done, these are done with in total consideration and working with the nations that we're talking about. All of these nations have made contributions to those suggestions. I want to thank the leaders of many Arab and Muslim nations for their tremendous support in developing the proposal, along with many of our allies in Europe. Europe has been very much involved, and as I was called by many of the European leaders, most of them saying, "Is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? This is the most incredible thing we've heard." Some think it's the biggest thing they've ever heard. They called just to find out, was it just a rumor or is it actually done? And then they said, have you spoken to the Arab leaders? Have you spoken to all of the other leaders that we have to get? A lot of people involved in this one. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region. And I want to just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries, Saudi Arabia as an example, the king is a phenomenal person. The Emir of Qatar, he's incredible people. UAE, and that's MBZ and ABZ. We're totally involved. These are the people that we've been dealing with and who've been actually very much involved in this negotiation, giving us ideas, things they can live with, things they can't live with. Pretty complex. I mean, after 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever it is, I guess it's got to be a little complex, or it would have been done a long time ago. The King of Jordan was with us, as you know, in the United Nations. The President of Turkey, President Erdogan, is a friend of mine, a strong man, but a good man. President of Indonesia, somebody who's an amazing leader, Prabowo. He is an amazing leader and respected by everybody. He was in the room with us. We were together with most of these people that I'm mentioning. Others were by phone or the next day. The Prime Minister and the Field Marshal of Pakistan, they were with us right from the beginning. Incredible. In fact, they just put out a statement that they fully believe in this pact. It just came out just as I was walking around. They said, sir, you have a big notice from the Prime Minister of Pakistan and from the Field Marshal that they back this 100%. President El-Sisi of Egypt, who's terrific. And these are people I've gotten to know over the years. I mean, I would say it started around 2015 and then went into 2016 when the presidency officially began. But I've known him actually for a long time, and there are many cases really great men. I can't say in all cases, but I will tell you in many cases they're great men and some great women too. They tend to be mostly men, however, I will say that. But if accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back, and I hate even saying this from the standpoint, doesn't sound right, but it is so important to the parents. The bodies of the young men, I believe in almost all cases, the young men are coming back immediately. I met with parents. The parents felt as strongly about getting the body of their dead boy back as they did as though the boy were alive and well. It's so important to them. And it means the immediate end to the war itself, not just Gaza. It's the war itself. Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing. And destroy all terror infrastructure, including the tunnels, weapons of production facilities. They have a lot of production facilities that we're destroying. They'll also help train local police forces in the areas that we're discussing right now, in particular in and around Gaza, working with the new transitional authority in Gaza. All parties will agree on a timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw in phases. They'll be withdrawing in phases. No more shooting, hopefully, as progress is made toward achieving these goals. Arab and Muslim nations need to be allowed the chance to fulfill these commitments of dealing with Hamas. They have to deal with them because they were the one group that we have not dealt with. I haven't dealt with them. But the Arab countries are going to, and Muslim countries are going to be dealing with Hamas, and I believe they've already been there. I think they probably have an understanding, and they haven't maybe mentioned that, but I would imagine they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone as far as they've gone. If they're unable to do so, then Israel would have the absolute right and actually our full backing, the U.S. full backing. Marco's here, and a lot of our leaders are here, our great Vice President, Susie Wiles, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They've been so involved in this process. I don't think anybody else could have done it or even come close, but it's we're right there. We're right there. First time in thousands of years, I think you can probably say, if you really look into it, if you study back, if you're a scholar, you would say thousands of years. Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do. Everyone understands that the ultimate result must be the elimination of any danger posed in the region, and that danger is caused by Hamas. The tyranny of terror has to end, and this is, again, something that we're looking for. This is eternity. This is for forever. To ensure the success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace, we call it, the Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be headed, not at my request, believe me, I'm very busy, but we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world and Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it would be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want, is some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it, and we'll do it right, and we're going to put leaders from other countries on, and leaders that are very distinguished leaders, and we'll have a board, and one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, good man, very good man, and some others, and they'll be named over the next few days, and it'll be quite the board. Working, everybody wants to be on it now. I don't know if that had anything to do. They named me and everybody else wanted to be on it. I guess they figure, well, he's a soft touch. He'll be easy to deal with. Working with the World Bank and others, it will be responsible for recruiting and training a new government that will be made up of Palestinians along with highly qualified experts from all around the world. Hamas and other terrorist factions will play no role in the board, but they'll play no role in the governance of Gaza at all, directly or indirectly. As you know, thousands of Hamas leaders have been killed and soldiers have been killed. And we can never forget October 7th, but thousands have paid the price for that. And now it's time to get our hostages back and get back to trying to build something that's really great and very important. In our meeting today, Prime Minister Netanyahu was very clear about his opposition to a Palestinian state. And he continuously mentions October 7th, and I understand that. Most people do. And I understand and respect his position on many things, but what he's doing today is so good for Israel. I notice that they have large crowds gathering in Israel all the time, and they have my name up. They like me for whatever reason, Bibi, I don't know, but they do like me. But they say two things. Please get the hostages back and please end the war. They've had it. It's had it. So I think it's a very popular thing you do because he's a warrior. He doesn't know about getting back to a normal way of life, but he is a warrior, and Israel's lucky to have him. But now the people want to get back to peace. They want to get back to normalization in a true sense. Several countries have foolishly recognized the Palestinian state. As you know, some of our European friends, allies, good people, but they're really, I think, doing that because they're very tired of what's going on for so many decades. They've been presidents and prime ministers for years, and during this time, having to do with the Middle East, all they're doing is talking about the same thing over and over. They want to see it get back. And nobody wants that more than me, or I believe Bibi too. But the people of Israel want it. They really want it. They want the hostages back. That includes the probably 32 bodies that we're talking about, 20 people that are living, 32 or so people that are dead, and they want to have peace. So let us not forget how we got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago? They withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work out. That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace. They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me. As a real estate person, I mean, they gave up the ocean, right? Ron, they gave up the ocean. They said, who would do this deal? And it still didn't work out. They were very generous, actually. And they gave up the most magnificent piece of land in many ways in the Middle East. And they said, all we want to do now is have peace. And that request was not honored. Instead of building a better life for the Palestinians, Hamas diverted resources to build over 400 miles of tunnels and terror infrastructure, rocket production facilities, and hid their military command posts and launch sites in hospitals, schools, and mosques. So if you went after them, you'd be after them, and you wouldn't even realize you ended up knocking out a hospital or school or a mosque. A terrible thing, terrible way to have to fight. No fight is good, but that's a real bad one. So there are many Palestinians who wish to live in peace. Many. I've seen so many of them. And they have support. And I challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny, fully condemn and prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority does not complete the reforms that I laid out in my vision for peace in 2020, they'll have only themselves to blame. We're giving them an amazing footprint, and they have amazing support from the leaders of the Arab world and the Muslim world, the great leaders. These are great leaders. These are unbelievable leaders that have built great countries and very wealthy countries. What the future holds for the Palestinians, no one really knows, but the plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back. Hard to believe when you even say it, and creating conditions for durable Israeli security and Palestinian success. Israeli security is going to be involved. We're going to help you. We'll be there with you in terms of helping with security. We want to make sure it works. We just want to make sure it works. There shouldn't be a shot fired. Now, there will be, I guess, because that's the way it seems to be, but there shouldn't have to be within a few days. There shouldn't have to be a shot fired. and maybe for eternity. Wouldn't that be nice? I hope it's true. I can tell you the leadership of that region feels that there's a good chance of it being true. So this will lead to this agreement that we're talking about will lead to a sustainable long-term peace. No president in history has been a greater friend of the state of Israel than I have, in addition to negotiating the Abraham Accords. I like to say it that way because the real people, that's what they call Abraham. I would say Abraham, but it's so much nicer when you say Abraham. So much more elegant. But the Abraham Accords, they're amazing. Jared, you did that along with your group of geniuses, and nobody thought that could be done. We have 4 countries, and Sleepy Joe Biden didn't do a thing. He didn't even know what the hell they were. He should have had them filled up. But I think this will also lead to packing them. And who knows, maybe even Iran can get in there. I hope, we hope we're going to be able to get along with Iran. I think they're going to be open to it. I really believe that. But they could be a member. I long ago said, I'll bet you at some point Iran will be a member of the Accords, and little did I realize it was going to take this turn. That was some turn we did with the B-2s. But I think they might very well be there because it's a great thing for them economically. I recognize the eternal capital of Israel. I opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. That was something that everyone said would never be done, could never be done. Virtually every president for many, many years, for decades, would campaign on making Jerusalem the capital of Israel. They campaigned on it over and over. Is that right, Steve? Is that right? Everyone, and when they got to it, and I understand why now, because it was so. When I got to office, I campaigned on it too. I said, we're going to make it. And then I'd get calls from the leaders of various countries saying, please don't do it, please don't do it. It'll end the whole world, please don't do it. And finally, I just didn't say anything, and I did it. People were calling me before I did it because they heard I was going to do it, and leaders of countries were calling me, and I think it was on a Thursday that I did it, and they'd call me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3-4 times a day, and I said, tell them I'll call them back on Friday. And I announced it on Thursday, and I called them back, the biggest people in the world, and they said, you've done it. I said, done what? You've made the capital of Israel, Jerusalem, and we wanted to talk yet. I wish you called me a little sooner. Maybe I could have done something about it. So that was a lot easier than getting into an argument, because I knew what they were calling about. And you know what? It turned out to be amazing. Everybody thought it was going to lead to the end of the world, right? The end of the world, Ron, that's what they said. It didn't lead to anything. It just led to something that I promised, and something that was very, very popular for Jewish people and a lot of other people, too. I recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and I cut taxpayer funding to the corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency. And United Nations was interesting because, as you know, a few days ago, they introduced me. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. I'm looking at my teleprompter, and the thing was dead, stone cold, dead. The thing's up here. I have a long, beautiful speech to make. I'm back 30 feet back, and I'm saying, they're introducing me. There's nothing on my teleprompter. So, but I made a speech. I actually got good marks. You think Biden could have done that? I don't think so. I don't think he could have done that. I don't think too many people could have done it. But actually, it was actually more of a speech from my heart, if you want to know the truth. I think it was maybe better in certain ways because it was from the heart. It has to be from the heart. Otherwise, you're in big trouble. But I cut taxpayer funding for that very corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency, and nobody thought that would be done, and withdrew from the horrible Iran nuclear deal that was imposed upon Israel by Barack Hussein Obama and Biden. And I don't think Biden knew anything about it, though. I don't think he knows anything about it now, actually, if you ask him. He'd say, what is that? and we obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity, making it impossible for them to have a nuclear weapon, which they would have had probably in about 2 months from that. But I've never asked Israel to compromise its security, but we had big, strong talk. Nobody's been better to Israel. No president's been better to Israel than Donald Trump. But we had a long, strong talk, Bibi and I, and he understands it's time. It's time. History has shown, and the people of Israel want it. And the people of the Middle East want it. The people of enemies of Israel want it, but they don't have really too many enemies right now. And you know what? Many countries have gained great respect for Israel, for the way they fight, for the job they do, including me. I had respect anyway, but they gained respect. History has shown us that those who have relations with Israel have thrived, while those who have devoted resources and attention toward the destruction and even annihilation of Israel have languished. They haven't done well. Israel is not going anywhere. They're going to coexist with other people and countries in the region, from Syria to Lebanon to Saudi Arabia. The promise of a new Middle East is so clearly within our reach. This is the closest we've ever come to real peace, not fake peace, not political fool's peace. If we can get this difficult problem solved, the opportunities for all within that vast region of this world, it's a vast region, it's unlimited. The Abraham Accords show that all countries are better off when they communicate and work together and embrace new opportunities. I hope Jared and Steve and Susie and Marco and JD, we have great people. I hope you guys are going to work very hard to get these other countries in, because now they have no excuse. There's no longer an excuse. They were somewhere hesitant. And I tell you, the 4 countries that went in, I give them tremendous credit, and it's worked out incredibly well for them. In the same spirit, I'm pleased to report that earlier today, we took another important step toward greater understanding in the region. A short time ago, we had a historic phone call in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Tani, who's really a great person. So we had a great talk, and I was on the phone, and Bibi was talking. Prime Minister Al-Thani was of Qatar. They really had a heart-to-heart conversation. It was a great conversation, I thought. It was productive. It was everything that you need to have something turn out to be successful. And I want to thank Bibi, and I want to thank the Prime Minister. It was fantastic. We agreed to launch a formal trilateral mechanism between Israel, Qatar, and the United States to begin a dialogue to enhance mutual security, correct misperceptions, and avoid future misgivings. And I want to thank Qatar, its leadership, and the Emir. He's a fantastic person. I think, I'm going to be his public relations man, because I know him differently than a lot of people know him. But he wants peace. He wants to see peace. And his people, and they really acknowledge the critical role that they've played as mediator. And again, we're not quite finished. We have to get Hamas, but I think they're going to be able to do that. So now it's time for Hamas to accept the terms of the plan that we've put forward today. And again, this is a different Hamas than we were dealing with, because I guess over 20,000 have been killed. Their leadership has been killed 3 times over. So you're really dealing with different people than we've been dealing with over the last 4 years, 5 years. Everyone has done their part and come to the table in good faith. Our Arab and Muslim partners are fully prepared to step up and fulfill their commitments for the benefit of the people of Gaza and the entire region. They're willing to step up and do a lot. They really are. There are a lot of good people involved. Everybody who wants to see an end to the violence and destruction should be united in calling for Hamas to accept the extremely fair proposal so that we can end the war and get us back our hostages right now and have everlasting peace. And I look forward to having relationships with everyone. As the chairman of the board, I'll be involved, and we'll have meetings with some very smart people that'll be working over there to make sure that we haven't just been wasting time with an agreement that doesn't get done. The task of building peace will not be easy. They're some of the hardest problems in the world to solve, and that's why it's been going on for so many centuries. But too many lives are at stake not to try, and this is more than a try. I mean, I think this is something that gets done when you have virtually every country, and these are powerful, powerful countries that have a lot of money, and the money can make things happen. A lot of countries try, and they don't have any money. These are very rich countries that can make things happen. So together we'll forge a much safer and more hopeful future for everybody, including Israel. And I want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for his partnership. And I want to thank all of the leaders, the kings and the emirs and the presidents and prime ministers, people I mentioned. And they've been absolutely fantastic to work with. And it's just happened very quickly. It's happened from a couple of weeks before I had a couple of meetings, but a couple of weeks before we went to the United Nations. And we had some incredible meetings. It all came to place. It all took place, and everybody wanted to be a part of it. I don't have anybody that's saying we don't want anything to do with it. It's just the opposite. And I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, a year ago, I don't think we would have had this kind of participation, Mr. VP, right? I don't think we would have had. It's been amazing. The participation was 100%. Everybody wants to be a part of it. And everybody, those very strong countries, everybody wants it to work. So, Bibi, congratulations on this. I think this will be your crowning achievement, frankly. If this all works out, we think it will. It's going to be your crowning achievement, and I want to thank you very much for being here. Thank you, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, first I want to thank you for graciously hosting me once again in the White House. And second, I want to thank you for your friendship and for your leadership. From Jerusalem to Tehran, from the Golan Heights to Gaza, you've proven time and again what I've said many times. You are the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And Mr. President, you and I both know it's not even close. While you focus at home on making America great again, your leadership abroad is changing the world for the better, ending wars and advancing peace. I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East, and I think beyond the Middle East, in very important Muslim countries. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. We would not have achieved this turning point without the courage and sacrifice of our incredibly brave soldiers. They fight like lions to defend the people of Israel, and they serve on the front line in the war between civilization and barbarism. Mr. President, when our two countries stand shoulder to shoulder, we achieve the impossible. Just a few months ago, in Operation Rising Lion and Operation Midnight Hammer, we struck a decisive blow against Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. Your bold decision to send those B-2s made the region safer and the world safer. Now, under your leadership, we're taking the next step to win the war and expand the peace. Your plan is consistent with the 5 principles my government set for the end of the war and the day after Hamas. Everybody asks, what is your plan for the day after Hamas? Here's our plan. Passed it in the cabinet. All our hostages, both those who are alive and those who died, All of them will return home immediately. Hamas will be disarmed. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will retain security responsibility, including a security perimeter for the foreseeable future. And lastly, Gaza will have a peaceful civilian administration that is run neither by Hamas nor by the Palestinian Authority. If Hamas agrees to your plan, Mr. President, the first step will be a modest withdrawal, followed by the release of all our hostages within 72 hours. The next step will be the establishment of an international body charged with fully disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. I appreciate your willingness to lead the body, Mr. President. I really appreciate it because you have a lot of things to do, and this is important. And it reflects the confidence that this will give everyone, that things will be followed up on all the commitments made. The fact that you're taking this on, I think, helps a lot to make sure that everything flows in the direction that we want. Now, if this international body succeeds, we will have permanently ended the war. Israel will conduct further withdrawals linked to the extent of disarmament and demilitarization, but will remain in the security perimeter for the foreseeable future. I think we should understand that we're giving everybody a chance to have this done peacefully, something that will achieve all our war objectives without any further bloodshed. But if Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way, but it will be done. We prefer the easy way, but it has to be done. All these goals must be achieved because we didn't fight this horrible fight, sacrifice the finest of our young men to have Hamas stay in Gaza and threaten us again and again and again with these horrific massacres. Mr. President, I was encouraged by your clear statement at the UN against the recognition of a Palestinian state. That would be an outcome that, after October 7th, would reward terrorism, undermine security, and endanger Israel's very existence. As for the Palestinian Authority, I appreciate your firm position that the PA could have no role whatsoever in Gaza without undergoing a radical and genuine transformation. In your 2020 peace plan, which you mentioned just now, you made clear what that transformation requires. It's not lip service. It's not checking a box. It's a fundamental, genuine, and enduring transformation. And that means ending pay to slay, changing the poisonous textbooks that teach hatred to Jews, to Palestinian children, stopping incitement in the media, ending lawfare against Israel at the ICC, the ICJ, recognizing the Jewish state, and many, many other reforms. It won't come as a surprise to you that the vast majority of Israelis have no faith that the PA Leopard will change its spots. But rather than wait for this miraculous transformation, your plan provides a practical and realistic path forward for Gaza in the coming years, in which Gaza will be administered neither by Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority, but by those committed to a genuine peace with Israel. I think this can be not only a new beginning for Gaza, I think it can be a new beginning for the entire region. Under your leadership, we can re-energize, well, I've got to contribute my own, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords. That's what it's called in the original Hebrew, Abraham. Abraham is fine, Abraham, however you want to call it. Under your leadership, Mr. President, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords that we forged 5 years ago. We can expand them to many more Arab and Muslim nations that choose moderation over extremism, I think there's an opportunity here. It's not going to be easy, it's tough going, but I think if we succeed, you're absolutely right. We're going to open possibilities that nobody even dreamed of. But I think we dream of them. As you've told me, Mr. President, and you've told the world many, many times, you said, remember October 7th. Remember October 7th. And we do. We will never forget the horrors of October 7th, and we will do whatever is necessary to make sure they don't happen again. Since October 7th, Israel's enemies have learned a hard truth. Those who attack us pay a heavy price, but those who partner with us advance progress and security for their peoples. President Trump just said it, it's also in the Bible. It says, those who will bless you will be blessed, and those who will curse you will be cursed. And that's actually what is happening. We want the blessings. I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years to end the curse. We're not finished, but we've done a lot. And we've done a lot together to end the curse. I want to thank your entire team for their efforts to get to this point. I especially want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for their indefatigable work to bring Israel and Arab states in the region closer together. I am deeply grateful to both of them for their work. We had a phone call today just to make it clear. I said to the Prime Minister of Qatar, Israel was targeting terrorists, wasn't targeting Qatar. And of course, we regretted the loss of the Qatari citizen, it wasn't our target. And I very much appreciate President Trump's proposal to have a trilateral body, the United States, Israel, and Qatar, to work out respective grievances. There are quite a few. But if we could try to mitigate them or put it on a different footing, I think that'll be good for everyone. Above all the people, the fine team, the many helpers who've done this, I want to thank you, Mr. President. History has already shown that under your leadership, Israel and America can change the face of the Middle East. And today I'm hopeful that your plan to end the war in Gaza will do so again and do so soon. It will free our hostages, end Hamas's tyranny in Gaza, and enable a more secure and prosperous future for the peoples of our region. Thank you, Mr. President. May God bless America. May God bless Israel. May God bless the indispensable alliance between our countries. And may I add in Hebrew, G'mal Chatima Tova, may we all be inscribed in the book of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bibi. So I think while we wait for these documents to be signed and get everybody in line, I think it maybe is not really appropriate to take questions. I'm meeting with, as you know, a couple of Democrats in a little while about the country, about keeping our country open. They're going to have to do some things because their ideas are not very good ones. They're very bad for our country. So we'll see how that works out. But this is something that was really historic today. This was something that was amazing. I think, Bibi, I mean, depending on you, I think while we're waiting for signatures and waiting for approvals from a lot of different countries that are involved in this, we probably shouldn't take questions? Or would you like to take a question or two from perhaps a friendly Israeli reporter, if there's such a thing?
That's a very, very tough proposition. But I would think, Mr. President, that I would go by your instinct that this is, we'll have enough time for questions. Let's settle the issue first, I think.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Great.
Well, I think you just watched probably the most consequential press conference or pseudo press conference you've probably ever seen. If it gets done, it sounds like it's tentative. Sounds like there's a number of moving pieces. Got to get the Arab countries to get on board, but it seems like most of the people want to play ball. So we shall see. Marco Rubio, you got a whole bunch of work, bro. You got a whole bunch of work. This could be absolutely phenomenal. And President Trump, as he mentioned now, is about to go embark on something bigger here in America in terms of the shutdown. He kind of mentioned it. They got a lot to do, but they got a lot to bring if they want to keep this going. Hakeem Jeffries, just quickly before we get out of here. This is Hakeem Jeffries a little while ago.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We are ready, we are willing, we are able to find a bipartisan path forward and reaching a spending agreement that actually keeps the government open, but meets the needs of the American people in terms of their health, their safety, and their economic well-being, related to lowering the high cost of living as opposed to allowing tens of millions of Americans to experience dramatically increased healthcare costs. What we will not do is support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. Over the last several months, Republicans have created a health care crisis in the United States of America. Largest cut to Medicaid in American history, triggering the possibility of a $536 billion cut to Medicare if Congress does not act because of what happened with the One Big Ugly Bill. Republicans have refused to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, and as a result of that, millions of working class Americans are going to experience skyrocketing premiums, copays, and deductibles at a time when America is already too expensive. Hospitals are closing. Nursing homes are closing. Community-based health centers are closing because of what Republicans have done in their One Big Ugly Bill. The Centers for Disease Control are under attack in the appropriation bill that Republicans have put forth in this month. The National Institute of Health under attack because of what Republicans have done in their appropriations bill this month. And they're limiting the ability of children and families to get vaccines. This is a five-alarm fire in terms of the Republican-caused health care crisis. And that's why Democrats are determined to turn things around.
You know, if I was going into a dire meeting with President Trump, an absolute dire meeting, I don't know if I'd be going out into the public and saying that kind of crap. Excuse me for a second. Thought I was going to... Hold on a second. Oops. I have to sneeze, and I'm like all kinds of discombobulated here. But anyway, I don't know if I would be going into meeting with President Trump talking that crap. So let me give you something you can actually have to talk to the crazy liberals in your life. And you can show this to them and prove that Jeffries is a lying piece of crap. You can read this whole thing, but basically, pay attention here. Emergency Medicaid was permitted under the 1996 PRWORA law, which funds emergency care for the newcomers. The CBO projects $40 billion in Medicaid costs for 2024 to 2034. He's lying. Furthermore, you can see down here people are saying, additionally, the PRWORA was further modified under Biden, expanding the definition of a non-citizen qualified to receive federal subsidies. It goes further. Almost every hospital nationwide accepts Medicaid. The ER is treated as a primary care physician. They can't deny treatment under that federal law. It's absolutely disgraceful. The Democrats won't give up the lies. I'm sick of it. Excuse me. Absolutely true. It's complete BS, and they expect you to just swallow it, and I hope he shuts it down. I just hope it goes away. Here's why they're really freaking out. Over 100,000 federal workers are set to formally resign tomorrow, perhaps the largest resignation in U.S. history from the U.S. government as a part of President Trump's workforce reduction. 100,000 people in one fell swoop. Why are they resigning? Well, they're resigning instead of getting fired. By resigning, they probably keep whatever pensions and benefits they had, depending on how long they've been there. But if they get fired, they probably don't get those benefits. So they're willing to say right tomorrow, before the deadline, before 11:59 tomorrow, they're going to say, we quit. So this, in the next, I would say, couple hours, as they're meeting, as they're all going to be sitting down and meeting, we're going to find out for sure what is actually happening with these Democrats. For sure. In fact, right now, on my other feed, they're actually on the Senate floor debating this. So President Trump is probably going to go and watch this. I can probably play this for a little bit because I got to get down to the stadium, but it's absolutely crazy what is happening right now. All right, so let me take some super chats and get ready to go. And I'll instead of, that's what I'll do. Instead of the after party, I'll play 30 minutes of this hearing that's going on. Here, let me show you the hearing so you know what's coming.
Hospital ever in Sublette County, Wyoming. The nearest hospital is 85 miles away. There's another one 100 miles away. Depending on in the winter which roads are open, people in that community had to either drive 85 or 100 miles seeking health care. This is going to help the communities in Pinedale. It's going to save lives. It matters to those people. Yet the ransom note from Senator Schumer and the Democrats would shut it down, prevent all of these rural hospitals that are struggling that we provided for in our comprehensive economic plan that we passed in July. Schumer wants to pull the plug on all of it. It's part of their bill. It's part of the ransom note. It's what the Democrats are trying to do. Let's be honest. The Democrats have a political problem. The far left, their radical wing, is demanding a shutdown of the government. Their caucus is divided. The American people overwhelmingly want the government to remain open, to provide.
All right, so like I said, instead of the after party, I'll put that on so you guys can listen to that for a little while. All right, just another knucklehead lost me today. Not really sure what that means. Tommy Juanito, but thank you anyway. Rudy Giuliani said back in 2022 that all this stuff that's coming out now, he said, was going to be a shocker, and boy, was he right. What do you think about that, Barry? Did he know what was coming? He may have. He indeed may have. G Crafts, fanfare equal fans of Barry. Thank you. America Trump. If the name doesn't fit, then get. David Yeoman, the problem is they can't stop spending, nor do they even want to stop spending. That's the other problem. Nikki P., if you live in Illinois and have a Virginia disability of at least 30%, you can get a reduction in property taxes. 70% is a full exemption. Very nice. Caleb McIntosh, Barry, in my opinion, who killed Charlie Kirk? I think they have the guy in custody. Deb Blank, it's easy for some people to play the victim instead of making changes to better their circumstances. If you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. That's exactly right. Tainted Saint, love the show. You got to choose your hand. Let's choose hard prosperity. Yep. Choose your hard. I got you. Ernest Walker says, Barry, I signed up for the crypto. It was easy. Way to go. Kent Bruce, keep preaching prosperity, Barry. We traded our IRAs for gold and silver, IRAs through Lear. Thank you, Barry. Also took $1,400 and started trading on Robinhood 2 months ago. Short trades up almost $8,000. Oh, man. Just be careful. Keep careful, but keep pushing. Lynn Hango, my husband and I struggled for a bit, went without a lot of things. Now we're debt-free. We still live simple, but are comfortable. We play the long game. He retired at 48. Wow. Congrats. Absolute congrats. Gen V, we weren't people mad when the Green New Deal was going to cost homeowners hundreds of thousands in retrofits, and Dems are masters hiding away. They steal money from taxpayers so low information voters aren't aware. They don't have any clue. And a lot of them don't care as long as they get their check at the 1st and 15th of the month. Sherry Clem, thank you for caring enough about your followers to share ideas which will enable us to help ourselves. People our age have learned we can't control the wind, but we can adjust our sails. Love that. Love that. Demon of Cybertron. What's that noise? Now I pray the government shuts down. Yeah, now that you know more of this stuff, shut it down. David Yobin, shut it down. Shut it down, please. Julie Masterson, thank you. Redeemed Patriot for Bibles, thank you. For spreading God's word and for the truth you share. Thank you very, very much. Rios Family Garden, hello, I haven't seen you in a while. Christ is King, thank you. Tinley YT, poor Dems thought they could pull a violent, anarchic French Revolution. They ended up getting a Napoleon. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Scragdad, Trump should go for voter ID and term limits. That would fix, imagine that. Wow. ARS, thank you. No, YPF Lucia, I'm not sure what currency that is, but thank you very much. Again, restore 30% of the assets of CIA in the hands of outlaws to the workers scammed by the Argentina. Wow. The SEC and the U.S. government accomplices. Wow. Christina, will there be another prayer day soon? Yes, we're hoping to do one this morning, but JJ got complicated with some work, so we're planning on next Monday. But yes, for sure. Redneck veteran, Barry, I'm a disabled veteran on fixed income. I took your advice and created an opportunity. I donate plasma and get $400 to $500 a month from that. Wow, that's being creative. Wow. Wow. I put the money from plasma in the stock market, and the stocks I picked are returning an average of 20%. Oh, wow. Creativity works. Fazul, Dems heads exploding like scanners. Chapo, Trump just put the free Palestinian protesters out of business. Now they have to move over to the free illegals or get real jobs. Thomas Staten, thank you. Cat Fam Life Com, final olive branch, or you get to go boom. Charmaine Rondon, Barry, let's pray for the peace process. Always. I definitely want to see peace. I definitely want to see these people stop being complete idiots. But who knows where they're headed. Anything. All right, so I'm going to, instead of the normal after party, I'm going to let you hear these morons talk for 30 minutes, and then I've got to cut. All right, see you guys tomorrow.
15 million Americans will lose their health insurance because of this Republican budget that I just referred to, the big, beautiful budget. 15 million will lose health insurance. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So when the Democrats say there are health care issues that are part of this debate on funding the government, that's what we're talking about. Keeping these hospitals open, critical hospitals in inner city as well in rural areas, making sure that people have their health insurance. And there's one third element I would add, I don't think we'll be able to negotiate it. Medical research. Ever hear of the National Institutes of Health? Well, sure you have. It's the best medical research agency of any government in the world. I went to the NIH about 12 years ago and met with Dr. Francis Collins, an amazing man who is head of the NIH. And I said to him, I really believe in what you do. Your research in cancer and heart disease and so many other things makes a difference. What can I do to help you? Well, he said, thank you for asking. There have been some people who've done remarkable things. I said, I remember there was a bipartisan coalition a few years back that doubled the budget in medical research for NIH. I said, I wish I could say I could do that again, but I don't think I can. What can I do? He said, give me and this agency 5% real growth each year in medical research, and we'll light up the scoreboard. We are so close finding cures and new drugs in so many areas that if you can give us consistent research, it'll make a difference. Came back to the Senate, Sat down with my friends on both sides of the aisle. Roy Blunt, Republican senator from Missouri, was a leader in this effort. Lamar Alexander, Republican senator from Tennessee, another leader. Patty Murray, still serving as head of the Appropriations Committee and one of the best when it comes to medical research. We put our heads together, and over a span of 10 years, the budget for NIH medical research went from $30 billion to $48 billion. We got the 5% coming every single year. It was quite an achievement. 60% increase in that budget. Things were happening, good news, good developments when it came to cures and treatments. I was so proud of that effort and glad that it was bipartisan from the start. So what did the Trump budget suggest we do with medical research? Cut it back from $48 billion to $30, where we started 10 years ago. You know what happens when you cut back on research that basic? You know what happens, and I do too. When that terrible diagnosis happens at the doctor's office, it breaks your heart, and you finally stop crying and you say to the doctor, is there anything you can do? Is there a surgery, a medicine, anything you can do for someone I love very much? They say, well, there's a clinical trial. There's medical research underway. And it's a long shot, but you got a chance. It's hope. Medical research is hope. And it's one of the areas where I think Donald Trump's cuts are the most heartless cuts of all. Democrats care about this. I do. I'm willing to fight over it. I'm not willing to say, well, we'll just go on business as usual. Let's accept this. Let's cut back $1 trillion out of Medicaid. Let's take 15 million Americans and take away their health insurance. Let's cut back $18 billion in medical research each year, and we'll say it's just a clean, continuing resolution bill. That's what we're fighting over. Is it important? For me, it's one of the most important things we can do in terms of helping families across America. And let me tell you something that's going on. You should know about it. You will soon if you're covered by it. Health insurance has tax treatment that helps you pay the premiums. It makes a dramatic difference. And now, in a matter of days, health insurance companies are going to announce what the new premiums are going to be because of the budget bill, the big, beautiful budget bill of President Trump. They're going to go up dramatically. And as these premiums go up, some people won't be able to pay for them, and they'll be without health insurance, and others will see their family budget explode with an increased health insurance premium. That's the reality of this debate. It's not about who gets bragging rights and gets to beat on their chest, a Democrat or Republican. In my mind, it's a question of whether families across this country can count on us for the basics. And making sure that health care is there for America is one of the basics as far as I'm concerned. There's another issue I want to raise, relates to the administration, and you have to go back in history to appreciate it. Richard Nixon. Students of history, of course, know that name. Former vice president of the United States, former senator, he was a senator and a congressman, vice president under President Eisenhower, and then president of the United States. He went through a period we know as Watergate. It was controversial. Some people broke into the Democratic National Headquarters. They were caught. They were prosecuted. When it was all over, we had the Watergate investigation, and ultimately President Nixon resigned. But before he resigned, he instructed his staff to give him background information on his enemies list, the people that he considered to be his political enemies. And the word was out that they were going to be treated harshly by his administration, whether it's Department of Justice or the Internal Revenue Service. Well, we went through that chapter, he resigned, and then Congress came together, Democrats and Republicans, and said, we can never let this happen again. We can't let a president put his finger on somebody and say, that's a political enemy, go prosecute him, try to find him guilty of a crime, make sure they pay a fine, give him bad publicity. We agreed on a bipartisan basis for standards between the White House, the Department of Justice, and Congress when it came to these political decisions that could ultimately result in prosecution. Well, under President Trump, we're back into the Nixon conversation about enemies list, except President Trump's enemies list is longer than anything Richard Nixon ever dreamed of. And that's what we're looking at now. On September 20th, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric Seibert, announced his resignation. Acting U.S. Attorney appointed by Trump resigned. Mr. Seibert resisted President Trump's demands to bring charges without sufficient evidence against New York Attorney General Letitia James and former FBI Director James Comey. Mr. Seibert, a Republican appointed by Donald Trump just a few weeks ago, stayed true to his oath to the Constitution and his commitment to follow the facts and the law. And for that, he was forced to resign his office. In his place, President Trump installed his personal attorney, an attorney with no experience as a prosecutor, never did it before, to indict James Comey in a politically motivated case considered by career prosecutors in that office too weak to bring charges. This indictment represents the latest step in President Trump's long crusade to weaponize the federal government against his perceived political enemies, a return to the days of Richard Nixon. We remember when the president was initially impeached in the first of his historic 2 impeachments after he attempted to pressure a foreign ally to dig up dirt against Joe Biden and his family. And we remember when President Trump turned a mob of insurrectionists loose on our Capitol, where they violently attempted to prevent the peaceful transfer of power leading to his second impeachment. I will never forget that day as long as I live, January 6th. It has been my honor to serve in this chamber 29 years. I've seen a lot. I'm honored to represent a great state like Illinois, but I will never forget that moment when we were sitting here counting the Electoral College votes as to what the American people had decided on the next president. Vice President Pence was presiding. We were seated in our chairs. I noticed something unusual. Those 2 doors opened, and 4 or 5 people walked in up to the vice president and literally yanked him out of his chair and took him out the door. We knew there was a political demonstration outside, but all of a sudden it turned bad and scary and dangerous. The Capitol Police came in and announced to us seated in this chamber, stay in your desks. We're going to make this a safe chamber in the Capitol. Don't worry about those people demonstrating outside. They're not going to get close to the chamber. Just stay where you are. We looked at one another and thought, what's next? Well, what was next was 10 minutes later, the same policeman came in and said, leave immediately. Don't take anything with you, just get out of the chamber. It's too dangerous for you to stay here. And we all, Democrats and Republicans, filed out those doors. You know what happened next. The insurrectionists took over this building. It was one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of the United States Capitol building. Imagine, if you will, for a moment, if you heard the news that the House of Commons in Parliament had its door broken down and people raided the chamber. You'd say to yourself, what is going on in England, for goodness sakes? The House of Commons taken over by people in the street? That is exactly what happened here. And it happened on January 6th. And so this president, embarrassed by that moment, maybe, who knows if he's ever embarrassed, decided he would go after the people who prosecuted the insurrectionists, the people who were prosecuted for crimes like beating up policemen. You all came here today and we welcome you to this chamber. The reason you're safe in this building today is a lot of women and men in uniform who are guarding you and me and all of our staff so that we can do the people's business. Those people were under attack by the January 6th insurrectionists. These were not curious tourists who came in here. They ended up beating on these police, and 140 of them were seriously injured. If you believe it, in this second administration, the president has gone further than Richard Nixon and what he's done before. His political appointees have fired FBI agents and federal prosecutors who were called on to prosecute the insurrectionists. He has installed loyalists whose chief qualification is their loyalty to him, not their loyalty to the law or the Constitution. We recently learned a top federal prosecutor in Sacramento was fired after she advised the Border Patrol to comply with a court order. Yes, the Trump administration fired a career prosecutor for following a court order. Never in our history in the history of our country has a president so brazenly demanded the baseless prosecution of his rivals. and he doesn't even try to conceal it or hide it. He glories in this constitutional outrage. In a social media post, President Trump issued a command to Attorney General Bondi, and I quote, "They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. We can't delay any longer." He's referring to the prosecution of James Comey. Imagine that, a sitting president commanding his attorney general to prosecute state and federal officials who simply tried to uphold the rule of law. That's exactly what this president is doing. What Richard Nixon was stopped from doing, he is doing. Since Watergate, Republican and Democratic presidents alike respect the independence of the Justice Department, recognizing that shielding it from the pull of politics was essential to safeguarding the rule of law. Under President Trump, those constitutional guardrails have been removed, destroyed. I want to be clear. What you're seeing from the Trump White House is not normal. This just isn't some inside the Beltway drama. If the president can turn the Department of Justice and the FBI into his own personal police force to target his political enemies, he can just as easily turn it against ordinary Americans. And the dam is already starting to break. The president sent active duty forces into Los Angeles earlier this year to put down protest of his administration's cruel immigration raids. He threatened to make war on the city of Chicago, which I'm honored to represent, by sending forces into that city as well as Memphis, Tennessee, and has now ordered the military to Portland with authorization to use, quote, full force in Portland, Oregon. The governor of Oregon, the mayor of Portland said what the president said about being at war and unlivable is just plain wrong, and yet he does it. It's a slippery slope into authoritarianism. Once DOJ and our military have been politicized, there are few guardrails left. So while today it's Letitia James and James Comey who are the targets, tomorrow it could be our fellow citizens who dare to even criticize the policies of the Trump regime. That is the risk we face and the danger that lies ahead in its perilous moment. That's why I've opened an investigation calling for answers from Attorney General Bondi, including making available several Trump-installed loyalists for questioning. The American people deserve to know if the chief law enforcement agency of the United States is following the Constitution or pursuing political revenge. Let me end this. During the Watergate scandal, President Nixon attempted to bend the Department of Justice to his will, to go after his enemies, conceal his administration's involvement in this unlawful conduct. When President Nixon did this, Democrats and Republicans on a bipartisan basis in Congress sounded the alarm together and defended the rule of law. On a bipartisan basis, we responded to Nixon. Those legislatures recognized the danger posed by a president attempting to wield power and benefit him personally. They knew it was unconstitutional, and they stood firm on a bipartisan basis in Congress. Where is that same courage today? It's time for the Republicans to join Democrats and step up and say enough is enough. This is not about political parties. It's about protecting our democracy from a would-be dictator intent on setting it all ablaze to achieve his personal aims. This is a code red alarm for the rule of law. And unless we come together to stop the president's abuses, I fear this administration will continue to corrode our American democracy. My question is this: is there one Republican senator in this chamber who gives a damn? I yield the floor.